Have you ever looked at a fallen leaf, floating silently on the surface of a calm pond, and wondered where its journey truly ends? Perhaps, we often find ourselves staring into the vast, blue horizon, feeling a tiny shiver of uncertainty about what lies beyond the final breath of our physical bodies. It is a natural thing, a very human thing, to feel a sense of hesitation when facing the great unknown that people usually call the end. Yet, if we sit together quietly, letting the noise of the busy world fade into the background, we might discover that what we fear is not actually the departure itself, but rather the heavy luggage of attachments we carry in our hearts. Life is a beautiful, intricate tapestry, woven with threads of laughter, tears, meetings, and partings, all moving in a rhythmic dance that never truly stops. Many people spend their entire lives building tall walls of security, trying to hide away from the simple truth that everything that begins must also find a way to transform. In the old stories from long ago, there was a young man named Vakali, who was so deeply enchanted by the physical beauty and the serene presence of the great teacher that he could not bear to be away from him for even a single moment. He would spend hours just gazing at the calm face of the Buddha, finding a desperate kind of peace in that physical form, believing that the form was the source of all happiness. One day, the teacher looked at him with eyes full of immense compassion and told him that he who sees the Dharma, the truth of existence, truly sees the teacher, while he who only sees the physical body sees nothing of substance. This gentle reminder was meant to nudge the young man toward a deeper understanding that our physical shells are like temporary ghosthouses, sturdy for a while, but eventually destined to return to the elements of earth, water, fire, and air. We often get so attached to the paint on the walls and the furniture in the room that we forget we are merely travelers, resting for a night before the dawn calls us to a new path. When we talk about the transition from this life, we are really talking about the ultimate lesson in letting go, a lesson that life whispers to us every single day if we are willing to listen. Every time the sun sets, giving way to the velvet darkness of the night, it is practicing the art of ending so that a new morning can be born. Every time we exhale, we are letting go of the old air to make room for a fresh, life-giving breath. If we refuse to let out that breath because we were afraid of losing it, we would not be able to live at all. There was once a kingdom where the people were very afraid of a dark forest that sat on their border, believing it was the end of all things. They told terrifying stories about it, built high fences, and lived in constant anxiety. However, a wanderer who had traveled through many lands arrived one day and smiled at their fears. He explained that the forest was not a wall, but a gateway to a valley of golden sunlight and endless meadows. He told them that the fear they felt was only because they were looking at the shadows of the trees from the outside, rather than walking through the path with a clear and open heart. The truth that few people dare to speak aloud is that the end of this physical form is not a tragedy, but a profound homecoming to the vastness of the universe. We are like waves in the ocean, rising up with energy, cresting with beauty, and then splashing back down into the deep, salty embrace of the water. The wave might feel afraid as it nears the shore, thinking it is about to disappear forever, but the ocean knows that the wave has always been water, and it will always be water, whether it is high in the air or deep beneath the surface. In the ancient times, there lived a merchant who was very wealthy, owning many warehouses filled with silk and spices, yet he lived in constant terror of losing his life. He sought out a wise elder living in a small hut on the mountain, asking for a magic charm to stay alive forever. The elder did not give him a charm, but instead handed him a small, dried seed and asked him to plant it. The merchant watched as the seed cracked open, disappeared into the soil, and eventually grew into a magnificent tree with sweet fruits. The elder pointed out that the seed had to die to its identity as a seed so that the tree could exist. If the seed had remained a seed, hard and closed off, it would never have known the joy of stretching its branches toward the sky or feeling the cool rain on its leaves. Our lives are very much like that tiny seed, containing a hidden potential that can only be unlocked when we stop clinging to the small, limited shell of who we think we are. It is quite funny, in a gentle way, how we work so hard to accumulate things, titles, and stories, as if we could pack them all into a suitcase for a journey where suitcases are not allowed. We spend our energy worrying about the future, which is just a dream, and mourning the past, which is just a memory, while the present moment slips through our fingers like fine sand. If we could just learn to breathe into the now, accepting the flow of change with a smile, we would see that there is nothing to be truly afraid of. Fear is often just an uninvited guest that sits at the table of our minds because we have forgotten our own inner strength and the interconnected nature of all things. When a candle flame is passed from one wick to another, the first candle does not lose its light, and the second candle starts a new journey of illumination. The flame is the same, yet it is different, moving from form to form in a beautiful sequence of light. We are that light, moving through the cycles of time, changing our lanterns but never losing the essence of the glow. Think about the flowers in a garden during the autumn season. They do not struggle or cry out when their petals begin to wither and fall to the ground. They understand, in their silent way, that their essence is returning to the earth to nourish the roots, preparing for a future spring that they may not see as the same flower, but will experience as part of the whole garden. Their beauty lies in their transience, in the fact that they give everything they have to the moment, without holding anything back for a tomorrow that is not guaranteed. Often, the things we fear are simply the things we have not yet understood with our hearts. We look at the departure of a loved one as a hole in the fabric of our lives, a dark space that can never be filled. But if we change our perspective, we can see it as a transformation, a shift in the way we connect. They are no longer a person we can touch, but they become the wind that cools our brow, the warmth of the sun on our shoulders, and the quiet voice of wisdom in our thoughts. They have returned to the source, and since we are also part of that source, we are never truly separated from them. The great teacher once spoke about a man traveling through a desert who found a beautiful oasis with a clear pool of water. The man was so happy that he wanted to stay there forever, but the water in the pool began to dry up under the hot sun. Instead of being sad, the man realized that the water was not disappearing, but was simply rising up into the clouds to fall as rain somewhere else, perhaps in a place that needed it even more. He understood that the nature of water is to move, to change, and to provide life wherever it goes. We are much like that water, flowing through different landscapes, sometimes as a rushing river, sometimes as a quiet pond, and sometimes as a mist that vanishes in the morning light. When we stop trying to freeze the river, stop trying to hold on to the mist, we find a freedom that is beyond words. This freedom is the truth that people are often too scared to mention, the truth that our existence is much bigger, much more magnificent than these few decades we spend in a human body. Imagine you are an actor on a grand stage, playing many different roles throughout a long and varied play. One night you are a king, the next night a beggar, sometimes a hero, and sometimes a simple traveler. When the curtain falls at the end of the night, do you mourn the loss of the king's crown or the beggar's rags? No, you take off the costume, wash away the makeup, and go home to your true self, knowing that the play was just a story you participated in for a while. Our lives are the most beautiful play ever written, but we have become so immersed in our roles that we have forgotten we are the actors, not the characters. We worry about the character's health, the character's wealth, and the character's end, forgetting that the actor is safe and sound, ready to take on a new role whenever the director calls. If we can maintain this sense of being an observer, a gentle witness to the unfolding of our own lives, the sting of fear begins to fade away, replaced by a curious and peaceful interest in what the next scene might bring. There is a story about a monk who lived in a remote cave, spending his days in quiet contemplation. One day, a fierce storm began to shake the mountain, and a massive boulder rolled down, blocking the entrance to his cave. Most people would have panicked, feeling trapped and facing the end, but the monk simply sat down and began to chant softly. He realized that the cave was not his home, but just a place he was staying, and the boulder was not an enemy, but just a part of the mountain moving. He felt a profound sense of peace, knowing that whether he stayed in the cave or moved beyond it, he was still part of the great mystery of life. It is this kind of peace that is available to all of us, right here and right now, if we can only tilt our heads and look at things a little differently. We do not need to be great scholars or hidden hermits to understand that the essence of who we are is untouched by the passing of time. We are the sky, and the events of our lives, including the final ones, are just clouds passing through. Some clouds are white and fluffy, some are dark and stormy, but the sky remains vast, open, and unaffected by whatever is floating within it. Sometimes, when the world feels too heavy and the thoughts of the end feel too dark, it helps to remember the small joys that remind us of the continuity of life. The way a child laughs at a butterfly, the way a seedling pushes through the concrete, the way a kind word can brighten someone's entire day. These are the ripples of a deep, underlying energy that never dies, a kindness that survives long after the person who performed it has moved on. When we focus on contributing our own small ripples of love and understanding, we become part of something eternal, and the fear of our own personal end starts to seem very small and insignificant. A long time ago, in a village nestled in a green valley, there was a grandmother who was known for her incredible garden. She spent her days tending to the plants with such tenderness that it seemed she was talking to them. When she grew very old and her strength began to fade, her grandchildren asked her if she was afraid of what was coming. She smiled, her eyes twinkling like stars, and told them that she had spent her whole life watching things grow, bloom, and return to the earth. She said she was not afraid because she knew she was just like one of her flowers, and that her love for the garden would remain in every blossom they saw after she was gone. This simple wisdom is what we often miss in our modern, fast-paced world where we are taught to chase after permanent things in an impermanent world. We try to buy happiness, build monuments to our names, and cling to our youth with a desperate grip. But true happiness comes from the realization that we do not own anything, not even our own bodies. We are simply borrowing these atoms and molecules for a short time, and when the time comes to return them, we should do so with gratitude for the wonderful journey they allowed us to have. Think of a traveler who has been on a long, dusty road for many days, carrying a heavy pack and wearing worn-out shoes. When they finally reach a beautiful inn at the end of the path, they do not cry because the journey is over. Instead, they take off the heavy pack, remove the dusty shoes, and sink into a comfortable bed with a sigh of relief. They are grateful for the sights they saw and the people they met, but they are also happy to rest. Our transition is very much like reaching that inn, a chance to set down the burdens of the world and find a rest that is deeper and more peaceful than any sleep we have ever known. If we can look at the end of life as a friend, a gentle guide who reminds us to live fully and love deeply while we can, then we have truly understood the secret that few dare to speak. The secret is that there is no death, only a change of clothes, a change of scenery, a continuation of the soul's melody in a different key. We are part of a grand, cosmic symphony, and every note is necessary, every pause is meaningful, and the music goes on forever, echoing through the halls of eternity. The great teacher often reminded his followers to live like a bird perched on a thin branch, knowing that the branch might break at any moment, but not being afraid because the bird trusts its own wings, not the strength of the branch. Our physical lives are like that thin branch, fragile and subject to the winds of change. Our wings are our inner peace, our understanding of the truth, and our capacity for love. When we trust in our wings, it does not matter if the branch holds or breaks, for we know we can fly. Let us take a moment to really feel the air entering our lungs, the warmth in our hands, and the beating of our hearts. These are miracles that are happening right now, gifts that we often take for granted. By appreciating the vivid reality of this moment, we stop giving power to the shadows of the future. We begin to see that each second is a complete life in itself, a tiny universe of experience that is whole and perfect. When we live this way, with our eyes wide open and our hearts unburdened by the weight of tomorrow, the concept of an end becomes just another thought, as harmless as a drifting leaf. There was a story about a young girl who found a broken shell on the beach and was very sad because it was no longer whole and beautiful. Her father took her to the edge of the water and showed her how the broken pieces were being smoothed and polished by the waves, turning into glittering sea glass that sparkled like jewels in the sun. He explained that the breaking of the shell was not the end of its beauty, but the beginning of a new kind of beauty, one that was shaped by the power of the ocean itself. Our lives are also shaped by the vast ocean of experience, and even the moments that feel like breaking are actually part of a process that makes us more beautiful, more resilient, and more radiant. We are being polished by the tides of time, our sharp edges worn away until we shine with the soft light of compassion and understanding. When the time comes for the final polishing, we can face it with the same grace as the sea glass, knowing that we are becoming something even more precious. People often think that talking about the end is a gloomy or depressing thing, but in reality, it is the most life-affirming conversation we can have. By acknowledging the limits of our time, we give value to every hug, every smile, and every kind word we share. We stop wasting our precious days on anger, jealousy, or petty grievances. We start to see that everyone we meet is also a traveler on this same mysterious path, and we feel a deep sense of kinship and kindness toward all living beings. Imagine a world where everyone understood this truth, where no one felt the need to fight over temporary things because they knew that the most important things are the ones we carry within us. In such a world, there would be no room for hatred, only for a gentle, shared journey toward the light. We can create this world within our own hearts, starting today, by letting go of the fear that has been holding us back. In the quiet corners of ancient monasteries, monks often keep a small reminder of the passage of time, not to make them sad, but to keep them focused on the beauty of the present. They understand that by keeping the reality of change close to their hearts, they can live with a clarity and a joy that is unshakable. They do not see the end as a monster hiding in the dark, but as a silent teacher who points the way to the eternal. We can also adopt this perspective, not by being morbid, but by being mindful. When we eat a piece of fruit, we can appreciate its sweetness, knowing that it grew from a flower that is now gone. When we watch a sunset, we can marvel at its colors, knowing that it will soon be dark. When we see a friend, we can listen with our whole being, knowing that this moment of connection is a rare and precious gift. This is how we turn the fear of ending into a celebration of living. Think about a river that has traveled for hundreds of miles, through mountains and valleys, past forests and cities. As it nears the vast ocean, it might feel a moment of hesitation, seeing the immense, deep water ahead. But as it merges, it realizes that it is not being lost, but is finally becoming what it was always meant to be. The river's journey was beautiful, but the ocean's expanse is its true home. We are all rivers, moving toward that same magnificent ocean, and emerging is the most natural, peaceful thing in the world. The Buddha once met a woman who was overwhelmed by a sense of loss, feeling that her world had crumbled into pieces. He did not give her a complicated lecture or tell her to just get over it. Instead, he asked her to look at the world around her, to see the way the grass grows, the way the clouds move, and the way the seasons change. He helped her realize that her pain was a sign of her deep capacity to love, and that the same love could be used to connect with the entire universe. He taught her that while the form of her love had changed, the essence of it was as eternal as the stars. We often forget that we are made of the same stardust that forms the galaxies, the same atoms that have existed since the beginning of time. Our physical bodies are just a temporary arrangement of these ancient elements, a brief and brilliant sparkle in the cosmic dark. When the arrangement changes, the elements remain, continuing their dance in new and wonderful ways. There is a profound comfort in knowing that we have always been here, and we will always be here, in one form or another. Fear is like a heavy fog that can obscure the path ahead, making everything look strange and threatening. But as soon as the sun of understanding rises, the fog begins to lift, revealing that the path is still there, clear and safe. We do not need to fight the fog, we just need to wait for the light of truth to shine. And that light is always within us, waiting to be rediscovered in the silence of our own hearts. Consider the story of a master musician who had played his favorite instrument for many decades. The instrument was old, the wood was scarred, and the strings were worn. One day, the instrument finally broke and could no longer produce music. The musician did not stop being a musician, he simply found a new instrument and continued to play his beautiful melodies. His music did not depend on that one particular piece of wood, but on the talent and the passion that lived inside him. Our lives are like that music, a beautiful expression of our inner spirit. Our bodies are the instruments, and though they may eventually wear out, the music of our existence continues. We can find new ways to express our love, our creativity, and our kindness, even when the old ways are no longer available. This is the truth that gives us the courage to keep singing, to keep playing, and to keep loving until the very last note, and beyond. The path we walk is not a straight line from birth to an end, but a circle that keeps expanding, encompassing more and more of the universe as we grow in wisdom. Each ending is just a new beginning on a larger scale, a chance to see further and feel more deeply. When we stop being afraid of the edges, we find that there are no edges at all, only an infinite expanse of possibility. Think of the way a storybook works. When you reach the end of a chapter, you do not throw the book away in despair. You turn the page, excited to see what happens next, knowing that the characters you love are still there, moving into a new part of the tale. Life is the greatest story ever told, and we are both the writers and the readers. We can choose to make our story one of courage, grace, and peace, knowing that the story does not end just because the page turns. There was once a traveler who found himself at the edge of a great cliff, looking down into a deep, misty valley. He was terrified of falling, until he noticed a bridge made of shimmering light that stretched across the abyss. He realized that as long as he kept his eyes on the light, he could walk across the bridge with confidence. The bridge was always there, but he had been too focused on the dark valley to see it. We all have a bridge of light within us, built from our deeds of kindness, our moments of clarity, and our deep connection to the truth. When we focus on this light, the abyss of the unknown no longer seems so deep or so dark. We can walk toward the future with a steady step and a calm heart, knowing that the light will always guide us home. The truth that is rarely spoken is that the end is actually a very quiet and gentle thing, a soft closing of a door after a long day of work. It is not something to be fought or feared, but something to be accepted with the same grace that we accept a cool breeze on a hot summer afternoon. When we stop struggling against the natural flow of life, we find ourselves being carried by a power that is much greater than ourselves, a power that is wise, compassionate, and eternally present. Imagine you are a drop of rain falling from a high cloud. You might feel a bit anxious about the long drop, wondering where you will land. But as you fall, you see that you are surrounded by millions of other drops, all part of the same refreshing rain. When you finally hit the ground, you might soak into the soil to nourish a thirsty flower, or you might join a tiny stream that leads to a great river. Your journey as a raindrop is over, but your life as a source of nourishment and growth is just beginning. Every person we encounter is like a fellow raindrop, each with their own unique journey and their own way of contributing to the world. When we see this, we feel a deep sense of peace, knowing that we are all part of a beautiful, life-giving cycle. We are never alone, and our lives are never without purpose, even in the moments when we feel most fragile. There was an old story of a king who wanted to find the most peaceful painting in the world. He saw many pictures of calm lakes and quiet forests, but the one he chose was a painting of a raging waterfall with a tiny bird sitting in a nest on a branch overhanging the water, sleeping soundly. The king explained that true peace is not the absence of noise or change, but the ability to remain calm and steady in the midst of it all. We can be like that tiny bird, finding our nest in the heart of the truth, even while the waterfall of life and change roars all around us. We do not need the world to be still for us to be at peace. We just need to find that still point within ourselves, that place where the fear of the end cannot reach. This is the true meaning of spiritual strength, the ability to face the great transitions of life with a smile and an open heart. The silence that follows a beautiful piece of music is not empty, it is full of the resonance of the notes that were just played. In the same way, the silence at the end of a life is full of the resonance of all the love, the kindness, and the wisdom that person shared. That resonance continues to echo in the hearts of everyone they touched, creating a symphony that never truly fades. We are the composers of our own resonance, and we can choose to make it a melody of peace and compassion. Think about the way we feel when we are about to go on a grand adventure to a place we have never been. There is a mix of excitement and a little bit of nervousness, but the excitement usually wins because we know we will see new things and learn new lessons. Our transition can be viewed in the same way, as the ultimate adventure, the final journey to a land of pure light and infinite peace. If we can hold on to this sense of wonder and curiosity, the fear of the end loses its grip on us. We start to see every day as a preparation for this grand adventure, a chance to pack our hearts with the only things that truly matter: love, kindness, and understanding. These are the treasures that will never rust or fade, the only things we can truly take with us wherever we go. In ancient times, there was a gardener who was tasked with taking care of a royal park. He worked with such joy and dedication that the park became the most beautiful place in the kingdom. When he grew very old, the king asked him what he wanted as a reward for his years of service. The gardener simply asked for a small bag of seeds from his favorite flowers. He said he wanted to take them with him so that he could start a new garden wherever he went next. This gardener knew the secret of a happy life and a peaceful end. He knew that his joy came from the act of planting and nurturing, not from owning the garden. He knew that as long as he had his seeds of kindness and his love for beauty, he would be at home anywhere in the universe. We all have a bag of seeds within us, and our job is to make sure they are seeds of the highest quality, ready to bloom in any soil. The truth that people are often afraid to say is that we are much more than our names, our jobs, and our bodies. We are the eternal consciousness that witnesses all these things, the silent observer who is always there, unchanging and pure. When we identify with the observer rather than the things being observed, we realize that we are beyond birth and beyond the end. We are like the sun, which appears to rise and set from our perspective on earth, but in reality, it is always shining, always radiant. When we look at the stars at night, we are looking at light that has traveled for millions of years to reach us. Some of those stars might have already transformed into something else, yet their light still guides us and fills us with wonder. Our lives are like that starlight, a beautiful radiance that continues to travel through time and space, long after its source has changed form. We are never truly gone as long as our light continues to shine in the lives of others. Let us be gentle with ourselves and with each other as we navigate this mysterious journey. Let us forgive the mistakes of the past, let go of the worries of the future, and embrace the simple, profound beauty of the present. Let us live with such kindness and such courage that when the time comes to turn the page, we can do so with a heart that is full and a spirit that is light. There was a story of a great ocean that was once asked if it was afraid of the sun drying it up. The ocean laughed and said that the sun could only turn its water into clouds, which would then turn back into rain and return to the ocean. The ocean knew that it could never be destroyed, only transformed. We are that ocean, and the sun of change is not our enemy, but a partner in the beautiful cycle of existence. When we find ourselves feeling small or afraid, it helps to remember the vastness of the universe and our place within it. We are not separate from the stars, the trees, or the wind. We are part of the same magnificent whole, a single, living organism that is constantly renewing itself. In this great dance of life, there is no such thing as a final end, only a change of partners and a new rhythm to follow. Think about the way a child learns to walk. They fall down many times, but they do not stay on the ground crying about the end of their walking attempt. They get back up, laughing and trying again, until they finally find their balance. Our spiritual journey is much like that, a series of falls and rises, each one teaching us something new about our own strength and the nature of the path. The final transition is just the moment we finally learn to fly, leaving the ground behind for good. The great teacher once compared life to a dream from which we eventually wake up. In the dream, we might experience all kinds of adventures, some happy and some frightening. But when we wake up, we realize that the fear was not real, and we are safe in our own beds. The truth that few dare to say is that the end of this life is simply a waking up into a reality that is more vivid, more beautiful, and more peaceful than anything we can imagine. We can begin to wake up right now, by seeing through the illusions of the world and connecting with the truth that lies within. We can wake up to the beauty of a flower, the warmth of a friendship, and the peace of a quiet moment. The more we wake up to these things, the less we will be afraid of the final waking up. We will see it for what it truly is, a return to our natural state of being, free from the limitations of time and space. Imagine you are a bird that has lived its whole life in a beautiful, but limited, cage. You have been well fed and cared for, but you have never known the vastness of the sky. One day, the door of the cage is opened. You might feel a moment of fear, wondering what is outside that familiar space. But as soon as you spread your wings and feel the wind beneath them, you will realize that you were always meant for the sky, and the cage was just a temporary home. Our bodies are like those cages, and the transition is the opening of the door. We should not be afraid to leave the cage, for the sky is our true home, and our wings are ready to carry us into the infinite. We have spent our lives preparing for this flight, and when the moment comes, we will find it the most natural thing in the world to soar into the light. Let us carry this understanding with us like a warm lamp in the dark, letting it light our way and comfort our hearts. Let us share this light with everyone we meet, helping them to see that there is nothing to fear and everything to love. In this way, we become part of a great chain of light, stretching back to the beginning of time and forward into the eternal future. The truth is that the end is just a word we use because we cannot see beyond the horizon. But just because we cannot see what is beyond the horizon does not mean there is nothing there. The world goes on, the universe goes on, and we go on, in ways that are more magnificent than we can possibly understand. So let us walk with a light heart, a kind spirit, and a peaceful mind, knowing that we are always safe, always loved, and always home. Consider the way a poem is written. Each word is important, each line is carefully crafted, and each stanza leads to the next. When the poem ends, the beauty of the words remains in the mind of the reader, inspiring them and touching their soul. Our lives are the most beautiful poems ever written, and though the last line will eventually be reached, the message of our lives will continue to inspire and touch the world forever. There was once a wise man who was asked how he could be so happy when he knew that everything would eventually end. He smiled and said that he was happy precisely because he knew it would end. He explained that the transience of life is what makes it so precious, like a rare flower that blooms for only one night. If the flower bloomed forever, no one would notice its beauty. But because it is fleeting, every moment of its bloom is a miracle to be cherished. We can choose to see our lives in this same way, as a miraculous, fleeting bloom that is all the more beautiful because it is not permanent. We can cherish every moment, every breath, and every connection, knowing that they are precious gifts that will never be repeated in exactly the same way. This is the path to a life that is truly lived, a life that is free from the shadow of fear and full of the light of joy. Think about the way a sunset creates a masterpiece of color across the sky. It is a moment of profound beauty, yet it is also the end of the day. The sun is not being lost, it is simply moving on to bring light to another part of the world. We can look at our own transitions with the same sense of wonder and grace, as a beautiful sunset that marks the beginning of a new and glorious dawn somewhere else. The great teacher once said that we should live as if our head were on fire, with an urgency to find the truth and live with compassion. He did not mean this in a stressful way, but as a reminder to not waste a single moment on things that do not matter. When we live with this kind of clarity and focus, the end is not something we worry about because we have already given everything we have to life. We have left nothing undone, nothing unsaid, and nothing unloved. If we can reach the end of our journey with a heart that is empty of regrets and full of love, then we have truly succeeded. We can look back on the path we traveled with a smile, knowing that we did our best to bring light and kindness to the world. And we can look forward with a sense of peace, knowing that the same light and kindness will guide us into the next chapter of our eternal story. The silence between the notes of a song is just as important as the notes themselves. Without the silence, there would be no rhythm, no melody, and no beauty. The transitions in our lives are like those silences, providing the space and the structure for the music of our existence. They are not empty spaces, but moments of rest and preparation for the next beautiful note to be played. There was a story about a traveler who found a small, crystal-clear spring in the middle of a dense forest. He drank from the spring and felt a deep sense of peace and renewal. He realized that the spring was always there, bubbling up from the heart of the earth, whether anyone was there to drink from it or not. Our inner peace is like that spring, always available to us if we can just find our way through the forest of our thoughts and fears. Let us take the time to find our way back to that spring every day, to drink from the waters of truth and find the strength to face whatever comes our way. Let us remember that we are never alone on this journey, and that the same peace that lives within us also lives within everyone else. When we connect with this shared peace, we realize that there is no room for fear, only for a deep and abiding love for all of life. The truth that few dare to say is that we are the creators of our own experience. If we choose to see the end as a monster, it will be a monster. But if we choose to see it as a friend, it will be a friend. We have the power to transform our fears into understanding, and our anxiety into peace. It all begins with a simple shift in perspective, a willingness to look at the world with new eyes and an open heart. Imagine you are a leaf on a grand old oak tree. You have spent the whole summer basking in the sun and feeling the rain. Now that autumn has come, you see your fellow leaves turning beautiful colors and drifting to the ground. You might feel a little sad to leave the tree, but you also see how you are becoming part of the rich, dark soil that will nourish the tree for years to come. You understand that your life as a leaf is just a small part of the much larger life of the tree. We are all leaves on the tree of life, and our individual lives are part of a much larger, eternal existence. When it is our time to drift to the ground, we can do so with the knowledge that we are contributing to the growth and the beauty of the whole tree. Our essence remains part of the tree, even when we are no longer attached to the branch. This is the quiet truth that brings peace to the heart and light to the soul. When we observe the world with a gentle eye, we see that the universe never truly throws anything away, but rather breathes new life into every discarded form. The ancient scrolls speak of a time when a young seeker asked a wise teacher about the nature of a flame once the candle has burned down to its base. The teacher did not answer with complex theories, but instead pointed to the morning mist rising from the valley floor, turning into clouds, and then falling back as rain to nourish the very flowers that would one day become the wax for another candle. This cycle is not a closed loop of repetition, but an upward spiral of refining our spirit, where each transition serves as a bridge to a higher understanding of what it means to truly be alive. We often mistake the silence of a stopped heart for a void, a dark room where the light has been extinguished forever. But in the quiet wisdom of the ancients, This silence is recognized as the most profound sound of all, the sound of a traveler finally putting down a heavy suitcase after a long and tiring walk. There is a story of a wanderer who reached a wide, rushing river and felt a deep chill of dread because he saw no boat and no bridge to reach the other side. As he sat in despair, a crane landed beside him and whispered that the water was not a barrier to be crossed, but a path to be followed, for the current was already carrying him exactly where he needed to go. If we can trust the current of existence as much as that wanderer learned to trust the river, the sharp edges of our anxiety will begin to soften into a peaceful acceptance. We live in a society that teaches us to grab, to hold, and to accumulate, as if the strength of our grip could stop the clock from ticking. Yet, the most vibrant joy often comes from the moments when we open our hands and let things fly away, realizing that we never truly owned the wind, the sunlight, or even the people we love. We are merely guardians of these beautiful moments, allowed to hold them for a brief heartbeat before passing them back to the great mystery that provided them in the first place. Consider the rhythm of a master weaver working at a loom, where every thread must eventually come to an end so that the pattern can reveal its true splendor. If one thread refused to stop, the tapestry would become a tangled mess without shape or meaning. Our lives are those threads, and the points where we stop are just as vital to the beauty of the whole design as the points where we began. The truth that stays hidden in the shadows of our fear is that we are not just the individual thread, but the weaver, the loom, and the finished masterpiece all at once. In the old days, there was a village where the people celebrated the falling of the first snow not as the death of the garden, but as a white blanket sent to keep the earth warm while it dreamed of spring. They understood that the stillness of winter was not an absence of life, but a deep, concentrated presence of life gathering its strength in the dark. We are often so afraid of the dark that we forget it is the only place where seeds can crack open and stars can truly shine. To embrace the inevitable transition is to realize that the dark is not a predator, but a cradle, a soft and silent place where we are reshaped for a new dawn. A story is told of a man who found a beautiful butterfly struggling to emerge from its cocoon, and out of a misplaced sense of pity, he snipped the silk to help it out. The butterfly emerged easily, but its wings were shriveled and weak, and it could never fly because it had not gone through the necessary struggle of pushing against its own boundaries. Our time here, with all its challenges and its final boundary, is the very thing that strengthens our spiritual wings. Without the limitation of time, our love would have no depth, our kindness would have no urgency, and our lives would have no flavor. We are like guests at a magnificent banquet where the music is playing and the food is abundant, but we know that eventually the lights will dim and the doors will close. Some guests spend the entire evening checking their watches, worried about the moment they have to leave, while others dance with all their heart, savoring every note and every bite. The secret to a peaceful departure is to be the guest who dances, the one who is so fully present in the celebration that when the time comes to walk out into the cool night air, they do so with a heart that is satisfied and a smile that lingers on their lips. Think of the way a sculptor removes pieces of marble to reveal the statue hidden inside the stone. Each chip that falls away might seem like a loss to the unobservant eye, but the sculptor knows that every piece removed brings the true form closer to the light. The passing of years and the eventual shedding of the body are the final strokes of the sculptor's chisel, stripping away the excess so that the pure, radiant essence of who we are can finally stand free. We are not being diminished by time, we are being revealed. There was once a king who was so obsessed with permanence that he ordered his architects to build a palace out of solid diamond, believing it would last forever. But as the years passed, the king found that the diamond walls were cold, and they reflected only his own lonely face, while the simple wooden huts of his subjects were filled with the warmth of shifting seasons and the smell of blooming jasmine. He finally realized that the things that last forever are often the things that have no life in them, while the things that are most alive are the ones that are constantly changing, fading, and renewing themselves. True immortality is not found in a body that never dies or a name carved in stone, but in the selfless acts of compassion that continue to ripple through the world long after the source has moved on. When we plant a tree whose shade we will never sit under, or share a word of comfort with a stranger whose name we will never know, we are tapping into a life force that is beyond the reach of the end. These small, quiet seeds of goodness are the true inheritance we leave behind, a legacy that is woven into the very fabric of the universe itself. When we feel the weight of our own mortality, it can be helpful to remember that we are made of the same ancient elements that have witnessed the birth and death of countless civilizations. The water in our veins once flowed in the great oceans of the prehistoric world, and the carbon in our bones was forged in the hearts of dying stars. We are a living history of the cosmos, a brief and beautiful arrangement of eternal matter that has been borrowed for a moment of conscious experience. When we return these elements, we are not losing ourselves, but rather giving back to the great library of life so that new stories can be written. Imagine a musician who is so deeply in love with a single note that they try to hold it forever, refusing to let the music move forward. That note, no matter how beautiful at first, would eventually become a painful noise. The beauty of the song lies in the movement from one note to the next, and in the silence that gives each note its meaning. Our lives are a melody in the grand symphony of existence, and our transition is simply the moment when we let one beautiful note fade so that the next, even more sublime harmony can begin. In a forgotten kingdom, there was a tradition where elders would go to the mountains to watch the eagles teach their young to fly. They saw that the mother eagle would eventually stir up the nest, making it uncomfortable so that the young ones would be forced to jump into the void. At first, the young eagles would scream in terror, thinking it was the end of their world, but then they would find the invisible currents of air and realize they were masters of the sky. Our physical existence is that nest, and the transitions we face are the gentle stirrings of the universe, encouraging us to discover that we were never meant to stay in the nest forever. We are often told that the unknown is a place of shadows and fear, but what if the unknown is actually a place of infinite light and boundless freedom? What if the fear we feel is just the dizziness of a soul realizing it is about to expand beyond its small, human horizons? In the quietest part of the night, if you listen closely to your own heartbeat, you might hear a rhythmic whisper that says you are safe, you are whole, and you are part of a journey that has no true boundaries. The fear is just a costume we wear, a mask that we can choose to take off whenever we are ready to see the truth. There is a profound beauty in the way a sunset does not try to linger, but gives way gracefully to the stars. The sky does not mourn the loss of the sun, because it knows that the stars offer a different, more vast kind of wonder. We can learn to live with that same grace, trusting that every closing door is a necessary step toward an opening that we cannot yet see. By letting go of the need to control the timing of our lives, we find a peace that is as deep as the ocean and as steady as the turning of the earth. There was a wise woman who lived by the sea and spent her days collecting smooth stones from the shore. When people asked her why she kept so many, she said that each stone was a reminder that even the hardest, roughest edges can be made soft and beautiful by the persistent touch of the waves. She saw her own life as a stone in the hands of time, and she welcomed the washing of the tides, knowing that every wave was making her more refined, more luminous, and more ready to be part of the great shore of eternity. We are all being shaped by the tides of experience, and though the process can sometimes feel overwhelming, the result is always a masterpiece of resilience and grace. When we stop resisting the movement of the water, we realize that the ocean is not trying to drown us, but is trying to polish us. This understanding changes everything, turning our fear into a quiet curiosity and our resistance into a gentle flow. We start to see that the end is not a wall we crash into, but a horizon we sail toward, full of the promise of new lands and undiscovered beauty. Think of the way a candle flame is not afraid of the wind, but dances with it, even in the moment it is blown out. The light does not disappear into nothingness, it returns to the source of all heat and energy, ready to be sparked again in 1,000 different ways. We are that light, and though the wind of change may eventually blow through our lives, it can never touch the essence of the fire that burns within us. We are the warmth that remains in the room, the glow that stays in the eyes of those we loved, and the spark that inspires the next generation to keep the flame alive. The truth that is whispered in the rustle of the leaves and the flow of the mountain streams is that we are never truly separated from anything or anyone. The boundaries we see are just illusions created by our own limited perspective. When we drop the mask of the ego, we see that we are the tree, the wind, the stream, and the person standing next to us. In this state of total connection, the idea of an end becomes meaningless, for how can the whole ever be lost? We are simply changing our focus, moving from the part to the whole, and from the temporary to the eternal. If we can carry this sense of oneness in our hearts, every breath becomes an act of worship and every moment becomes a sacred gift. We no longer need to search for peace in the future, because we have found it in the very core of our being. We are the peace we have been seeking, and the light we have been looking for. This is the ultimate realization that dissolves all fear, leaving only a deep, abiding gratitude for the privilege of existing, in all its messy, beautiful, and transient glory. A story is told of a young prince who spent his whole life trying to find a way to stop the flowers in his garden from wilting. He tried every magic spell and every scientific method, but the flowers always faded. One day, a traveling monk told him that the only way to have a garden that never dies is to stop looking at the individual flowers and start looking at the earth that gives birth to them. The monk explained that while the flowers are temporary, the life force in the earth is eternal, and it is that life force that the prince truly loved. When we shift our love from the temporary forms of life to the eternal life force itself, we find a security that no change can ever take away. We can enjoy the flowers while they are here, and we can honor them when they are gone, knowing that the earth is already preparing the next bloom. This is the wisdom that allows us to live with an open heart and a calm mind, even in the face of the greatest transitions. We are not losing the flower, we are simply watching the garden transform, and we are part of that transformation. We are like travelers who have been walking in a thick forest for a very long time, and we have become so used to the shadows and the tangled branches that we have forgotten there is a sun shining above the canopy. The moments of transition in our lives are like clearings in the forest, where we can look up and see the vast, blue sky and feel the warmth of the sun on our faces. Instead of being afraid of the clearing, we should welcome it as a chance to remember who we really are and where we are going. The forest was a beautiful place to walk, but the sky is our true home. Let us walk through the remaining miles of our journey with a light step, sharing our water with those who are thirsty and our songs with those who are tired. Let us make the forest a little brighter by our presence, knowing that when we eventually reach the edge of the trees, we will find a meadow of infinite light waiting for us. There is no need to hurry, and there is no need to linger in fear. The path is exactly as long as it needs to be, and every step is a necessary part of the adventure. The truth that so many are afraid to speak is that we are already more than enough, just as we are. We do not need to achieve great things or possess vast wealth to be worthy of the universe's love. Our worth is inherent in our very existence, in our ability to feel, to think, and to love. When we realize this, the pressure to prove ourselves disappears, and we can live with a simple, quiet dignity that is untouched by the opinions of others or the passing of time. We are a unique and precious expression of the divine, and that can never be taken away. Think of a river that flows through a deep canyon, its walls carved by the water over millions of years. The river might feel confined by the high stone walls, but it is those very walls that give the river its power and its direction. Our lives are also shaped by the circumstances we find ourselves in, the challenges we face, and the limitations of our bodies. These are the canyon walls of our existence, and while they may feel restrictive, they are also what allow our spirit to flow with such intensity and beauty. When the river finally reaches the ocean, the canyon walls disappear, and the water is free to spread out in every direction. The river does not lose its identity, it finds its true magnitude. We are also flowing toward that same freedom, and the canyon of our human life is just a temporary passage that prepares us for the vastness of what lies ahead. We should not fear the end of the canyon, for it is the beginning of the ocean, and the ocean is where we truly belong. In the ancient temples, the monks would often sit in silence for hours, just watching the smoke from a single stick of incense rise and disappear into the air. They understood that their lives were like that smoke, a brief and fragrant movement through the space of time. The beauty of the incense was not in how long it lasted, but in the sweetness of its scent and the grace of its upward drift. We should strive to make our lives a fragrant incense, a beautiful and uplifting presence that leaves the world a little sweeter for having known us. When the stick is gone, the fragrance remains, and that is what truly matters. We are the fragrance of the universe, a unique blend of experiences, emotions, and insights that can never be replicated. Our task is to burn brightly and sweetly, giving everything we have to the present moment, and trusting that our essence will continue to linger in the air of eternity long after our physical form has vanished. There is a profound peace in this realization, a peace that allows us to face the final moments of our burn with a calm and grateful heart. We often think of the end as a cold and lonely place, but the truth is that it is the most intimate and crowded moment of our lives. We are surrounded by the love of all those who came before us, and the potential of all those who will come after. We are connected to every living thing in a web of light that is beyond time and space. In that final transition, we are not going away from life, but moving deeper into the very heart of it, where all things are one and where love is the only reality. Imagine you are a star that has spent billions of years shining in the dark. Eventually, you will run out of fuel and transform into a supernova, a brilliant explosion that creates the very elements needed for new life to begin. Your end is not a tragedy, it is a spectacular act of generosity, a gift of light and matter to the future. We are all made of that starlight, and our own transitions are part of that same cosmic cycle of giving and receiving. We are not disappearing, we are being redistributed into the universe to fuel the next great adventure. The fear that people feel is often just a misunderstanding of the scale of their own existence. We think we are just this one small person in this one small town, but we are actually a vital part of a vast, unfolding mystery that has been going on since the dawn of time. When we realize the grandeur of our true nature, the small worries of our daily lives and the fear of our own end begin to fade away. We see that we are safe, we are loved, and we are part of something so magnificent that words cannot even begin to describe it. Let us sit together in this realization, letting it soak into our bones and quiet our restless minds. Let us breathe in the peace of the universe and breathe out the fear of the unknown. We are travelers on a sacred path, and the destination is just as beautiful as the journey. There is no need to be afraid, for we are already home, even now, in this very moment, in this very breath. The truth is simple, the truth is kind, and the truth is that we are eternal. There was once a blind man who sat by the road and asked travelers to describe the sun to him. Some told him it was a great ball of fire, others said it was a brilliant light, but it was only when a kind child took his hand and placed it in the warmth of a sunbeam that he truly understood. We can talk about the truth for 1,000 years, but we only truly understand it when we feel the warmth of it in our own hearts. That warmth is always there, waiting for us to stop talking and start feeling. When we feel that inner warmth, we know that we are okay, no matter what happens in the outer world. We know that the transitions of life are just the movement of the sun across the sky, and that even when it sets, it is still shining somewhere else. We are the sun, and we are the light, and we are the warmth. There is nothing to fear, for we are the source of the very thing we are looking for. Let us live our lives with this quiet confidence, not as a way to escape reality, but as a way to embrace it more fully. When we are not afraid to lose anything, we are free to give everything. We can love without holding back, we can dream without fear of failure, and we can face the end without a trace of regret. This is the true freedom that the sages have always spoken of, the freedom of a soul that knows its own eternal nature. The path ahead is clear, the light is bright, and the journey is waiting. Let us take the next step with a smile, knowing that we are never alone and that the destination is beyond our wildest dreams. Every ending is a beautiful new beginning, and every parting is a promise of a future meeting in the light. This is the truth that few dare to say, but it is the only truth that truly matters. Consider the way a seed must completely come apart for the sprout to emerge. If the seed tried to stay whole, it would rot in the ground and never see the sun. But because it is willing to break, it becomes a tree that provides fruit for the hungry and homes for the birds. Our own lives are like that seed, and the moments that feel like breaking are actually the moments when we are growing into something much bigger and more beautiful than we ever thought possible. We should not fear the breaking, for it is the only way we can truly bloom. As we continue on this path together, let us remember to be kind to ourselves and to each other. We are all carrying our own burdens and facing our own fears, but we are also all sharing the same beautiful light. By helping each other, we make the journey easier and the destination even more joyous. Every kind word and every gentle touch is a reminder of our shared humanity and our eternal connection. The silence that follows these words is not an end, but a space for the truth to settle in your heart. Let it sit there like a quiet friend, offering comfort and strength as you move through your day. Remember that you are a miracle, a precious and eternal part of the universe, and that there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can ever take that away from you. The transition you fear is just the next step on a glorious journey, and you are ready for it, more ready than you can possibly imagine. Walk with peace, live with love, and trust in the wisdom of the great mystery that created you. You are safe, you are loved, and you are home. Always. Every step of the way, every breath of the journey, you are exactly where you need to be, and you are becoming exactly who you were meant to be. The horizon is not an end, but an invitation, and you are being called to discover the infinite beauty that lies beyond. There was a story of a young man who was terrified of the ocean until he met a wise sailor who told him that the ocean is not a place where things go to drown, but a place where the whole world comes together. The sailor showed him how the tides bring gifts from faraway lands and how the water reflects the light of the stars. The young man realized that the ocean was a source of life, not death, and he spent the rest of his days sailing its vast blue expanse with a heart full of wonder. We can be like that young man, choosing to see the great transitions of our lives not as a scary ocean that will swallow us up, but as a vast and beautiful sea that connects us to everything that ever was and ever will be. We are not drowning in time, we are sailing in eternity, and the wind in our sails is the very breath of life itself. The journey is grand, the sea is wide, and the light is always guiding us toward the shore of pure peace. Every morning when we wake up, we are given a new chance to practice this art of living and letting go. We can practice by letting go of the anger from yesterday, the worries about tomorrow, and the attachments that keep our hearts heavy. Each act of letting go is a small practice for the final transition, making it easier and more natural when the time comes. We are training our souls to be light, to be free, and to be ready for the ultimate flight. In the ancient monasteries, there was a saying that to live well is to prepare for a good end, and to have a good end is to have lived well. They are two sides of the same coin, inseparable and equally important. By living with awareness and compassion, we are building a foundation of peace that will support us through every change and every challenge. We are creating a reservoir of light that will illuminate our path even in the darkest moments. Let us focus on building that reservoir today, through our thoughts, our words, and our actions. Let us be the light that we wish to see in the world, and let us be the peace that we wish to find in ourselves. In doing so, we become part of the great solution to the fear of the unknown, showing others that it is possible to live with joy and face the end with grace. This is the greatest gift we can give to the world and to ourselves. The truth is that we are all in this together, and we are all going to the same place. There is a deep and beautiful solidarity in our shared mortality, a bond that transcends all our differences. When we look at each other through the lens of our shared journey, we see that there is no reason for conflict or hatred. We are all just trying to find our way home, and the best way to get there is by holding each other's hands and walking together in the light. Consider the way a master calligrapher prepares for a single stroke of the brush. There is a moment of deep stillness and focus, a gathering of energy, and then a swift and graceful movement that leaves a mark of beauty on the paper. Our lives are like that stroke of the brush, a brief and unique expression of our inner spirit. The beauty is not in how long the stroke is, but in the clarity and the grace with which it was made. Let us strive to make the stroke of our lives as beautiful and clear as possible, leaving a mark of grace that will inspire others for generations to come. When the brush is lifted from the paper, the stroke is finished, but its beauty remains. We are that beauty, and our transition is just the lifting of the brush. We have made our mark, we have shared our light, and we have completed our part of the masterpiece. There is a profound satisfaction in a job well done, and a deep peace in knowing that our contribution was meaningful and unique. The silence that remains on the paper is just as important as the ink, for it provides the space for the beauty to be seen. In the same way, the silence of our departure provides the space for our lives to be truly appreciated and understood. We are part of a grand design that is much larger than ourselves, and our role, no matter how small it may seem, is vital to the whole. Trust in that design, trust in your own part in it, and trust in the beauty of the final silence. Everything we have discussed today is just a pointer, a signpost on the road to the truth. The real understanding can only come from within your own heart, in the quiet moments when you are alone with your own soul. In those moments, listen to the whisper of your own inner wisdom, the voice that knows you are eternal and that everything is okay. That voice is always there, waiting for you to listen, waiting to remind you of your own magnificent nature. Take a deep breath and feel the truth of these words in your very core. You are not afraid of the end, you are just afraid of the unknown. But the unknown is only unknown because you haven't looked at it with the eyes of the Spirit. When you do, you will see that it is a place of infinite light, a place of pure love, and a place where you have always been welcome. You are not going into the dark, you are going into the light. Let this realization be your constant companion, your source of strength, and your foundation of peace. Live your life with the courage of a lion and the gentleness of a dove, knowing that you are safe in the embrace of the universe. The journey is beautiful, the destination is sublime, and you are exactly where you need to be. Walk on with peace, walk on with love, and know that all is well. The truth that so many are afraid to speak is that the end is not the opposite of life, but a part of it. Life and death are like the two sides of a single breath, the inhale and the exhale. Both are necessary, both are natural, and both are part of the same beautiful process. When we accept both with equal grace, we find ourselves at the center of a peace that is beyond all understanding. Imagine a world where every ending was celebrated as a new beginning, and every parting was seen as a promise of a future reunion. In such a world, fear would have no place, and love would be the only law. We can start to create that world today, within our own hearts and our own families. By changing our own perspective, we change the world around us, spreading a message of peace and hope to everyone we meet. This is the task we have been given, and it is a task of great beauty and profound meaning. Let us embrace it with all our heart, knowing that we are making a difference in the world and in our own souls. The truth is simple, the truth is kind, and the truth is that we are eternal. Let us live that truth every day, in every breath and every action, until the very last note of our song is played and we return to the silence of the infinite light. Everything is as it should be, and you are exactly where you need to be. There is no need for worry, no need for fear. Just breathe, just love, and just be. The universe is holding you in its arms, and it will never let you go. You are part of the eternal dance, the endless song, and the infinite light. Walk in peace, for you are home. In the ancient stories, there was a king who had a ring engraved with the words, "This too shall pass." He looked at it in times of great sorrow to find comfort, and in times of great joy to stay humble. This simple truth is the key to a peaceful life and a graceful end. Everything in the world of form is temporary, but the spirit that witnesses it is eternal. By anchoring ourselves in the eternal, we can weather any storm and celebrate any sunset. Let us anchor ourselves in that eternal truth today, letting go of the fleeting things that distract us from the beauty of the present. Let us find our joy in the simple things, our peace in the quiet moments, and our strength in the love we share. In doing so, we become untouchable by the fear of the end, for we have already found the life that never dies. The silence that follows these words is not an end, but an invitation for you to find your own truth in the stillness of your own heart. Listen to the quiet, for it has much to tell you. It will tell you that you are safe, that you are loved, and that all is well. Trust in that silence, trust in yourself, and trust in the great journey that is unfolding before you. Everything you need is already within you. The courage to face the unknown, the wisdom to understand the truth, and the love to embrace all of life. You are a magnificent and eternal being, and your light will never be extinguished. Walk with that knowledge, live with that grace, and face the final horizon with a heart that is full of peace. The story of your life is a masterpiece in progress, and the final chapter is just as beautiful as the first. Each page is a gift, each word is a miracle, and the end is just the moment you close the book and realize that the story was always about you, the reader, not just the characters on the page. You are the eternal consciousness that enjoys the story, and you are safe, now and forever. May the peace of the universe fill your heart, may the light of truth guide your path, and may you always know that you are home. Walk in beauty, live in love, and trust in the wisdom of the infinite. All is well, and all will be well, forever and ever. As the sun sets and the day draws to a close, we can look back on our time together with gratitude and peace. We have explored the deep questions, we have faced the shadows, and we have found the light. This is the work of a lifetime, and we have taken an important step on the path today. Carry this peace with you, let it nourish your soul, and let it shine through you into the world. Remember that the truth is not something you find in a book or in the words of a teacher, but something you feel in your own heart when you are quiet and still. It is the feeling of being connected to everything, the feeling of being loved beyond measure, and the feeling of being eternal. That feeling is the truth, and it is always within reach. So let us be still for a moment, letting the silence wrap around us like a warm blanket. Let us feel the presence of the infinite in this very room, in this very breath. There is nothing to fear, only love to be found. We are part of the great mystery, the beautiful dance, and the eternal light. And in that light, we are forever safe, forever home, and forever free. The journey continues, and the path is beautiful. Walk on with confidence, walk on with grace, and walk on with the knowledge that the best is yet to come. Every ending is a new beginning, and every sunset is a promise of a new and glorious dawn. Trust in the light, trust in the love, and trust in the wisdom of the great mystery. All is well, always. The final word is not an end, but a bridge to the next moment of your life. Walk across that bridge with a smile, knowing that you are ready for whatever lies on the other side. You are the architect of your own peace, the master of your own soul, and the eternal light of the universe. Shine on, dear friend, shine on. Everything we have shared today is a seeds planted in the garden of your heart. With a little care and a lot of love, these seeds will grow into a beautiful garden of peace that will sustain you through all the seasons of your life. Let them grow, let them bloom, and let them share their fragrance with the world. This is your true work, and it is a work of infinite beauty and eternal meaning. Farewell for now, but know that we are never truly apart. We are all part of the same light, the same love, and the same eternal story. Until we meet again in the heart of the truth, walk with peace and live with joy. All is well, forever and ever. The truth that so many are afraid to speak is that you are already exactly what you are looking for. You are the peace, you are the love, and you are the eternity. There is no need to search for it, only to realize it. And in that realization, all fear disappears, leaving only a deep and abiding joy. So let us celebrate this journey, with all its twists and turns, its highs and its lows. It is a grand adventure, and we are privileged to be a part of it. Let us live every moment with wonder and every day with gratitude. And when the time comes to move on, let us do so with the same sense of adventure and the same heart full of love. The universe is vast, and the mystery is deep, but the truth is simple: you are loved, you are safe, and you are eternal. Everything else is just a story we tell ourselves to pass the time. Let go of the stories and hold on to the truth. In that truth, you will find the peace you have always been looking for. Walk in light, live in love, and trust in the infinite. All is well. The end is not an end, but a magnificent new beginning. And you are ready. Consider for a moment the silent dialogue between the moon and the tide, a relationship that exists without a single word, yet moves the vast oceans of our world with an invisible, gentle strength. Just as the tide does not mourn when it pulls away from the shore, knowing that its departure is merely the preparation for its inevitable return, we can learn to view our own movements through time as a rhythmic necessity. Many of us spend our days trying to capture the moonbeams in a jar, hoping to hold on to the light so it never fades, but the beauty of the light is found in its freedom to dance across the water and then vanish into the silver mist. The truth that rests quietly at the center of our being is that we are not the jar, nor are we the captured light. We are the vast, open space in which the moon, the tide, and the light all exist in perfect harmony. In the ancient times, there was a traveler who came upon a bridge that seemed to be made of nothing but frozen clouds and morning light. He hesitated, fearing that such a fragile structure could never support his weight, until he saw a small child running across it with a laughter that echoed like bells. The child stopped and told the traveler that the bridge only felt thin because he was carrying too much of yesterday's dust on his boots. Once the traveler removed his heavy shoes and left his burdens by the wayside, he found that the bridge was as solid as the mountain itself. Our transition from this form is that bridge of light, and the only thing that makes it feel precarious is the heavy weight of the identities and the regrets we insist on wearing like leaden shoes. When we let go of the need to be someone specific, a name, a title, or a collection of past mistakes, we become light enough to walk upon the clouds. There is a profound honesty in the way a tree sheds its bark, not because it is dying, but because the life within it has grown too large for the old skin. We often cling to our old skins of habit and fear, thinking they are what keep us safe, when in reality, they are the very things that restrict our growth and dim our radiance. To move beyond the physical shell is the ultimate act of expansion, a moment where the internal flame finally becomes one with the sun, no longer confined by the glass of the lantern. There is a story about a master potter who spent his entire life creating the most delicate porcelain vases, each one thin enough to let the light shine through. When a clumsy apprentice accidentally shattered his most prized creation, the master did not get angry, but instead gathered the pieces and used them to create a beautiful mosaic on the garden path. He explained that the beauty of the porcelain was not lost, it was simply redistributed, becoming a floor that felt cool under the feet of guests rather than a vessel sitting lonely on a shelf. Our lives are like that porcelain, and what we perceive as a breaking is often just the universe rearranging our essence to serve a more beautiful and expansive purpose. If we look at the stars, we see light that has traveled through the cold vacuum of space for eons, coming from sources that may have changed their form long before the light even reached our eyes. The star is not gone, it has merely become the light that guides the sailor and inspires the poet. We are all made of this resilient starlight, a substance that does not know how to cease existing, only how to transform into something more subtle and pervasive. When we stop identifying with the physical lamp and start identifying with the light itself, the fear of the oil running dry disappears completely, for the light knows that its source is the infinite fire of the cosmos. In a quiet valley far away, there was a spring that was said to grant a single drop of wisdom to anyone who sat beside it in total silence for 3 days. A young woman sat there, and on the 3rd day, a single drop of water fell onto her hand, and she suddenly understood that the water she was drinking was the same water that had once been the tears of an ancient queen, the dew on a prehistoric fern, and the steam from a volcano. She realized that nothing is ever truly new and nothing is ever truly lost. We are all just part of a grand, celestial recycling project. This realization brought a smile to her face that never faded, because she knew that she would always be a part of the beautiful, flowing story of the world. We often imagine the great transition as a lonely walk into a dark room, but in truth, it is more like walking out of a cramped, dark hallway into a garden filled with the scent of 1,000 flowers and the warmth of a noonday sun. The walls that we thought protected us were actually the very things that blocked our view of the horizon. When those walls fall, we do not lose our home, we discover that the entire universe is our home, and that every star is a lamp lit just for us. The silence we find there is not the silence of a grave, but the silence of a deep, nourishing peace, the kind of peace that settles over the earth just before the dawn. A story is told of a man who was so afraid of the wind that he spent his whole life indoors, sealing every crack and bolting every window. He lived in a stale, stagnant air, never knowing the scent of the rain or the song of the birds. One day, a small bird pecked a hole in his window, and a tiny draft of fresh air blew in. Instead of feeling cold, the man felt a sudden, sharp surge of life in his lungs, and he realized that the wind he feared was the very thing he needed to feel truly alive. He opened all his doors and stepped outside, finding that the wind was not an enemy, but a companion that wanted to carry him to new heights. Our lives can become stale and heavy when we try to seal ourselves away from the natural winds of change and transition. We think we are protecting ourselves, but we are actually just depriving ourselves of the fresh air of the Spirit. When we finally open the doors and let the wind of the great unknown blow through our hearts, we find that we are not being blown away, but being blown open. We discover a vastness within us that is equal to the vastness of the sky, and we realize that we have always had the wings to fly, we were just too afraid to use them. Think of the way a great composer uses a pause in a symphony to create a moment of profound tension and beauty. The music does not stop during the pause, the energy is still there, vibrating in the air, waiting for the next note to bring it to life. Our transitions are those pauses, those sacred moments of silence where the old melody has ended and the new one has not yet begun. If we can learn to appreciate the silence, to sit in the pause with a heart that is quiet and expectant, we will find that the music never really left us, it was just taking a breath. In the old days, the builders of the great spires would often leave one stone uncarved and one window unadorned, as a reminder that perfection is not about being finished, but about leaving room for the infinite to enter. They understood that a completed thing is a dead thing, while something that is unfinished is still alive and full of possibility. Our lives are also beautifully unfinished, and the final transition is not the completion of the work, but the moment where we hand the chisel back to the Master Creator, knowing that the work will continue in ways we cannot yet imagine. We are a living prayer, a work of art that is constantly being refined by the hands of time and the breath of the Spirit. There was a wise man who was asked how he could remain so calm when he saw his body growing old and frail. He smiled and pointed to a caterpillar that was spinning its cocoon on a nearby branch. He asked if the caterpillar was sad to lose its many legs and its ability to crawl on the ground. He explained that the caterpillar is not losing its life, it is simply withdrawing its energy so it can grow wings and see the world from a different perspective. We are all spinning our cocoons through our deeds, our thoughts, and our love, and the moment we leave the shell is the moment we finally discover our true colors. When we see the transition in this way, as a natural and necessary part of our metamorphosis, the fear loses its grip on our hearts. We start to look forward to the flight, not because we are tired of the ground, but because we are curious about the sky. We realize that the earth was a wonderful place to learn and to grow, but that our journey is much larger than any one world. We are travelers of the infinite, moving through different states of being like a dancer moving across a stage, each step a preparation for the next, each movement an expression of the joy of existing. Imagine a drop of dew sitting on a lotus leaf in the early morning. It sparkles like a diamond in the first light of the sun, reflecting the entire world in its tiny, clear sphere. As the sun rises higher, the dewdrop begins to disappear, turning into invisible mist and rising into the air. Most people would say the dewdrop is gone, but the lotus leaf knows that the dewdrop has simply returned to the clouds, where it will eventually become rain and fall once more to nourish the roots of the lotus. The dewdrop was never just a drop of water, it was a part of the great water cycle that sustains all of life. We are those dewdrops, reflecting the beauty of the world for a brief, sparkling moment before returning to the source. Our departure is not a loss, but a homecoming, a return to the vast, nourishing cloud of existence from which we all emerged. When we understand this, we can live our lives with a sense of lightness and grace, knowing that we are safe and that we are part of something that can never be destroyed. We can shine as brightly as we can while we are here, and then gracefully fade into the mist, knowing that we will always be part of the rain, the river, and the ocean. In the quiet of the night, if you place your hand over your heart, you can feel the steady drumbeat of life, a rhythm that has been going on since the very beginning. This beat is not just your own, it is the pulse of the entire universe, the sound of galaxies spinning and flowers blooming. When the drum finally falls silent, the rhythm does not stop, it just moves into a different tempo, a more subtle and profound vibration that we can only hear with the ears of the soul. We are the music, not the instrument, and the music goes on forever, echoing through the halls of eternity. There was once a king who was given a magical mirror that showed not his face, but his soul. When he was young and full of pride, the mirror was cloudy and dark. But as he grew older and learned the value of kindness and compassion, the mirror began to clear, showing a light that was more beautiful than any crown. By the time he reached the end of his life, the mirror was so bright that he could no longer see his own reflection, only the radiance of the light. He realized that his life had been a process of polishing the mirror until there was nothing left but the light itself. Our lives are that process of polishing, a chance to clear away the clouds of greed, anger, and delusion so that our true radiance can shine through. The transitions we face are the final polish, the moments where we let go of the last few spots of ego and become pure light. When we approach the end with this understanding, we do not feel that we are losing anything, we feel that we are finally becoming everything. We are not being extinguished, we are being clarified, turning from a flickering candle into a steady, brilliant sun. If we can look at each other with this awareness, seeing the light within every person we meet, the world becomes a place of incredible beauty and profound peace. We realize that we are all polishing our mirrors, each in our own way, and that we are all part of the same magnificent light. We feel a deep sense of kinship and love for everyone, for we know that their journey is our journey, and their light is our light. This is the truth that dissolves all boundaries and ends all fear, the truth that we are one, now and forever. Consider the way a river flows through a city, carrying the debris and the dirt of the streets, yet remaining pure and clean at its heart. The river does not judge the things it carries, it just continues to flow, moving toward the vast, salty embrace of the sea. Our lives are like that river, carrying the memories of our joys and our sorrows, our successes and our failures. But at our heart, we are always pure, always clean, and always moving toward the ocean of infinite peace. We should not be afraid of the things we carry, for they are just part of the journey, and the ocean will wash them all away. When we reach the edge of the sea, we do not stop being water, we just stop being a river. We expand into the vastness of the ocean, where the water is deep and calm and full of mystery. We are no longer confined by the banks of the river or the noise of the city, we are free to move with the tides and the currents of the deep. This is the ultimate freedom, the freedom of a soul that has finally returned to its source and realized its own true magnitude. We are not losing our way, we are finally finding it. In the ancient temples, the monks would often paint a circle in the air with a single stroke of a brush, a symbol of the completeness and the emptiness of all things. The circle has no beginning and no end, it is a perfect representation of the cycle of life and the nature of the spirit. When the brush is lifted, the circle remains in the mind of the viewer, a reminder that the truth is always there, even when it cannot be seen. Our lives are that single stroke of the brush, a brief and beautiful movement that creates a circle of light in the darkness. Let us make our stroke with a steady hand and a clear heart, knowing that the beauty we create will remain long after we are gone. Let us not worry about the length of the stroke, but about the grace with which it is made. And when the brush is finally lifted, let us do so with a sense of peace and satisfaction, knowing that we have completed our part of the great circle. The circle is perfect, the light is bright, and we are exactly where we need to be. The truth that is rarely spoken is that the end is actually a moment of profound joy, a celebration of a life well lived and a journey well traveled. It is the moment when the traveler finally sees the lights of his home in the distance and knows that his long walk is almost over. He does not feel sad to leave the road, for the road was just a means to an end, and his home is where his heart has always been. He feels a deep sense of relief and a quiet, overflowing happiness as he takes the final steps toward the door. We are all that traveler, and our home is a place of pure love and infinite peace, a place where there are no shadows and no fear. We have been traveling for a long time, through many different lives and many different worlds, and the transition is just the final homecoming. We should not be afraid of the door, for it is open and waiting for us, and the light inside is the warmest and most welcoming light we have ever known. We are not going away, we are coming home. Imagine a garden where every flower is a different soul, each one blooming in its own time and in its own way. Some flowers bloom for a day, some for a year, and some for 100 years, but the beauty of the garden is in the collective bloom, not in the individual flowers. When a flower fades, its seeds fall to the earth to create new life, and its fragrance lingers in the air to inspire the other flowers. The gardener does not mourn the loss of a single flower, for he knows that the garden is eternal and that every flower is a vital part of the whole. We are those flowers, and our lives are our bloom, our chance to share our beauty and our fragrance with the world. When it is our time to fade, we can do so with the knowledge that we have contributed to the beauty of the eternal garden and that our seeds will carry our essence forward into the future. We are not separate from the garden, we are the garden, and our life continues in every new bud and every blooming flower. This is the quiet truth that brings peace to the heart and light to the soul. In the silence of the night, if you look up at the stars, you can feel the vastness of the universe and the tiny, precious miracle of your own existence. You are a part of this magnificent mystery, a unique and irreplaceable expression of the divine. The transitions of your life are just the way the universe breathes, a natural and necessary movement that keeps everything in balance. You are safe in the arms of the infinite, and your journey is being guided by a wisdom that is beyond all understanding. Trust in that wisdom, trust in that journey, and trust in yourself. You have the strength to face any change and the courage to meet any challenge. You are an eternal being of light, and your radiance will never be extinguished. Walk with peace, live with love, and know that you are always exactly where you need to be. The horizon is not an end, it is an invitation, and you are being called to discover the infinite beauty that lies beyond. Everything is as it should be, and you are a vital part of the great harmony. There is no room for fear, only for a deep and abiding love for all of life. Breathe in the peace of the universe, and breathe out the anxiety of the mind. You are whole, you are complete, and you are eternal. This is the truth that will set you free, the truth that will guide you home, and the truth that will keep you safe forever. The path ahead is clear, and the light is always shining. Let us take the next step with a smile and a grateful heart, knowing that we are never alone and that the destination is beyond our wildest dreams. Every ending is a beautiful new beginning, and every parting is a promise of a future meeting in the light. This is the secret that few dare to say, but it is the only secret that truly matters. Consider the way a master weaver creates a tapestry, using many different colors and textures to create a single, beautiful image. Each thread is necessary, each knot is important, and each ending is just a part of the pattern. From the back of the tapestry, it may look like a tangled mess of strings and knots, but from the front, it is a masterpiece of art. Our lives are like the back of the tapestry, full of knots and loose ends that don't seem to make sense. But from the perspective of the infinite, our lives are a perfect and beautiful part of the whole. When we finally see the front of the tapestry, we will understand why every knot was necessary and why every thread had to end where it did. We will see the beauty of the pattern and the wisdom of the weaver, and we will realize that our lives were always a masterpiece. This is the truth that gives us the courage to keep weaving, even when the pattern is hard to see and the threads are getting thin. We are part of something magnificent, and our role is vital to the beauty of the whole. So let us weave our lives with love and kindness, using the best threads we can find and making every knot a knot of peace. Let us not worry about the back of the tapestry, but focus on the beauty of the work. And when the tapestry is finally finished, let us look at it with a sense of wonder and gratitude, knowing that we have contributed to a masterpiece that will last forever. The weaver is wise, the pattern is beautiful, and we are exactly where we need to be. The silence that follows these words is not an end, but a space for the truth to settle in your heart. Let it sit there like a quiet friend, offering comfort and strength as you move through your day. Remember that you are a miracle, a precious and eternal part of the universe, and that there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can ever take that away from you. The transition you fear is just the next step on a glorious journey, and you are ready for it, more ready than you can possibly imagine. Walk with peace, live with love, and trust in the wisdom of the great mystery that created you. You are safe, you are loved, and you are home. Always. Every step of the way, every breath of the journey, you are exactly where you need to be, and you are becoming exactly who you were meant to be. The horizon is not an end, it is an invitation, and you are being called to discover the infinite beauty that lies beyond. Imagine, if you will, the gentle patience of an old mountain, standing tall against the changing colors of the sky, watching the seasons come and go with a silent, unshakable smile. The mountain does not grasp at the winter snow, nor does it try to hold back the spring melt, it simply allows the cycles to flow over its rugged face, knowing that its core remains solid and untouched by the passing of time. We often think of our lives as a frantic race against a disappearing sun, but in reality, we are the mountain, and the events of our days are just the weather moving through our valleys. The truth that many find difficult to whisper is that the end of a physical journey is not a falling into the abyss, but a settling into the foundation, or returning to the stillness that was always there, waiting beneath the noise of our busy thoughts. There was once a legend of a golden temple hidden deep in a forest of shadows, where a great bell hung from a beam of sandalwood. The bell was said to ring only when a traveler reached the gates with a heart that had finally learned to be still. For years, people tried to force the bell to ring by hitting it with hammers of gold or shouting their names at its copper surface, but the bell remained silent, a heavy, cold weight in the dark. One evening, a simple woodcutter, weary from a long day of honest work, sat down beneath the bell and simply breathed, letting go of his name, his hunger, and his exhaustion. In that profound silence, the bell began to hum with a sound so deep and resonant that it filled the entire forest with light. Our transition is like the humming of that golden bell, a resonance that only reveals itself when we stop trying to force the world to fit our desires and simply allow ourselves to be. We are so used to the clanging of our own ambitions that we fear the silence of the end, thinking it is an empty void. But that silence is actually the most vibrant, full, and musical state of existence, a place where all the notes of our lives blend into a single, perfect harmony. When we stop struggling to keep the hammer hitting the bell, we find that the music was already there, living in the space between our heartbeats, ready to carry us into a peace that knows no boundaries. In the stories of the old masters, there was a young student who asked why the river always moved so fast toward the sea. The master led the student to a place where the water pooled behind a great rock, becoming a quiet, reflective mirror. He pointed out that while the water seemed to be resting, it was actually deepening, gathering its essence before the next leap over the edge. Our periods of stillness, and even the final stillness of the body, are not a lack of movement, but a gathering of the soul's energy. We are not slowing down to disappear, we are deepening to prepare for the vastness of the ocean, a state of being where we no longer need to run because we have finally arrived. Consider the way a master calligrapher prepares for a single stroke of the brush. There is a moment of deep stillness and focus, a gathering of energy, and then a swift and graceful movement that leaves a mark of beauty on the paper. Our lives are like that stroke of the brush, a brief and unique expression of our inner spirit. The beauty is not in how long the stroke is, but in the clarity and the grace with which it was made. Let us strive to make the stroke of our lives as beautiful and clear as possible, leaving a mark of grace that will inspire others for generations to come. When the brush is lifted from the paper, the stroke is finished, but its beauty remains. We are that beauty, and our transition is just the lifting of the brush. There was a story of an old gardener who tended to a single, rare tree that only bloomed once every 50 years. People would come from all over the world to catch a glimpse of the blossoms, which were said to smell like moonlight and ancient dreams. One year, a heavy storm broke the branches just as the buds were beginning to open. The gardener did not weep, he instead took the fallen blossoms and placed them in a bowl of clear water on his porch. He told the disappointed visitors that the tree did not exist to produce flowers, the flowers existed to show the tree's hidden strength. Even though the blossoms were no longer on the branch, the tree was still growing, still breathing, and still full of life. We often mistake our physical accomplishments and our outward beauty for the whole of who we are. When the branches of our lives begin to weaken or break, we feel as though we are losing everything. But we are the tree, not the blossoms. Our essence is rooted deep in the fertile soil of the universe, and our life continues in the strength of our trunk and the reach of our spirit. The falling of the flowers is just a sign that a new season is beginning, a season where we grow inward and upward, becoming more resilient and more connected to the source of all life. In the quiet corners of our hearts, we often carry a small, hidden fear that when we leave this world, we will be forgotten, like a name written in the sand. But the truth is that every act of kindness, every moment of genuine laughter, and every word of comfort is a seed that grows into a tree that never dies. You may not see the fruit of all your labors, but the world is different because you were here, and that difference is your eternal signature on the canvas of time. We are not separate beings, but threads in a living fabric, and as long as the fabric exists, our thread is part of the pattern, holding the whole together in ways we cannot even perceive. Imagine a star that has spent billions of years shining in the dark. Eventually, it will run out of fuel and transform into a beautiful cloud of glowing gas and stardust. That cloud, though no longer a single point of light, becomes the nursery for 1,000 new stars and 1,000,000 new worlds. The star did not die, it opened itself up to the universe, sharing its treasures so that life could continue in new and more complex ways. We are all made of that starlight, and our final transition is our moment of becoming a supernova, a grand, generous act of returning our light to the infinite pool of creation. There was once a wise woman who lived in a lighthouse on a rocky shore. She spent her days keeping the lamp lit and her nights listening to the rhythm of the waves. When she grew very old, her granddaughter asked if she was afraid of the dark sea. She smiled and said that she had spent her life teaching the light how to pierce the darkness, so why would she be afraid when it was her turn to become the light? She understood that the lamp was just a tool, and that the true light was within her, ready to shine across the water without the need for a wick or oil. This is the courage that comes from a life lived with awareness and love. We are not the lighthouse, we are the beam of light. The tower of our body may crumble over time, but the light itself is untouched by the wind or the waves. When we finally step out of the lighthouse, we find that we are not entering the darkness, but merging with the infinite radiance that covers the whole world. We are becoming the guide for others, the steady glow that shows the way through the storm, the eternal presence that never flickers and never fades. If we could see the world through the eyes of the infinite, we would see that there are no such things as beginnings or endings, only a continuous, flowing transformation of energy and consciousness. A candle flame is not born when you strike a match, it is simply revealed as the heat releases the energy stored in the wax. When the candle is blown out, the energy is not destroyed, it is simply released back into the room, becoming part of the warmth and the light of the space. We are that energy, borrowed for a short time and shaped into a human form, but destined to return to the vast, vibrant ocean of potential. In the old scrolls, it is written that the great teacher once sat by a river and watched a spider spin a web across two branches. A gust of wind broke the web, and the spider immediately began to spin a new one, using the same silk from its own body. The teacher pointed out that the spider was not mourning the old web, it was simply continuing its nature to create. We are the spiders of our own destiny, spinning webs of experience and connection. When the wind of transition breaks the physical web, we do not lose our ability to spin, we simply find new branches in a different world and continue the beautiful dance of creation. The truth that so many are afraid to speak is that we are the creators of our own experience, and that include the experience of the end. If we choose to see it as a loss, it will feel like a loss. But if we choose to see it as a graduation, a beautiful transition into a higher state of being, it becomes a celebration of everything we have learned and everything we have become. We have the power to shape our final moments with the same grace and intentionality that we have used to shape our lives. We can walk toward the horizon with our heads held high and our hearts full of gratitude, knowing that we are ready for the next great adventure. Think of the way a great forest looks from a mountaintop. You see a vast, green carpet that seems to go on forever. You don't see the individual trees that have fallen, because their life has already been absorbed into the soil, feeding the new saplings that are stretching toward the sun. The forest is a single, living being, and each tree is just a cell in that magnificent body. We are the cells in the body of humanity, and our individual departures are just the natural process of renewal that keeps the whole body healthy and vibrant. We are part of something so much larger than ourselves, and our life continues in every new breath and every new dream. There was a story of a traveler who found a small, crystal-clear spring in the middle of a desert. He was amazed that such a thing could exist in such a dry and barren place. He sat by the spring and realized that the water was not coming from the surface, but was bubbling up from a deep, hidden aquifer that stretched across the entire continent. The spring was just the place where the hidden water chose to reveal itself. Our individual lives are like that spring, a brief and beautiful appearance of the eternal water of consciousness. When the spring dries up, the water is not gone, it has simply retreated back into the deep, hidden aquifer, where it is safe and pure and waiting to rise again. We can find a profound peace in knowing that we are connected to that hidden aquifer, that source of infinite life that can never be exhausted. We do not need to worry about the spring drying up, because we know the water is eternal. We can enjoy the coolness and the clarity of the water while it is here, and we can trust that when the time comes to return to the depths, we will be part of something vast and magnificent. This is the quiet truth that allows us to face the changes of life with a calm mind and a steady heart, knowing that we are always safe and always home. In the silence of a deep meditation, if you look closely at the nature of your own mind, you will find that it is like a vast, clear sky. Thoughts and emotions are just clouds that drift by, sometimes dark and stormy, sometimes white and fluffy. The clouds do not affect the sky, and the sky does not try to hold on to the clouds. When the clouds are gone, the sky remains, vast, open, and pure. We are the sky, not the clouds. The end of our life is just the moment when the last cloud drifts away, revealing the infinite, radiant blue of our true nature. If we can maintain this perspective of being the sky, the transitions of our lives no longer feel like a threat. They are just the movement of the weather, a natural and necessary part of the dance of life. We can watch the clouds come and go with a sense of wonder and curiosity, knowing that we are untouched by their movement. We are the eternal witness, the silent observer who is always there, unchanging and pure. This is the ultimate realization that dissolves all fear and brings a peace that is beyond words. Every person we meet is a fellow traveler on this same mysterious path, and each one of us is carrying a little piece of the infinite light. When we look at each other with this awareness, we see that there are no strangers, only brothers and sisters in the spirit. We can support each other through the challenges and celebrate each other's successes, knowing that we are all part of the same beautiful story. By helping each other, we make the journey easier and the destination even more joyous. Every kind word and every gentle touch is a reminder of our shared humanity and our eternal connection. Imagine a grand symphony that has been playing since the beginning of time. Every living being is a musician, playing their own unique part in the masterpiece. Some parts are long and complex, while others are short and simple, but every note is necessary for the beauty of the whole. When your part is finished, you don't stop being part of the music, you simply take your seat in the audience and listen to the rest of the symphony with a heart full of joy. You have contributed your unique sound to the eternal melody, and that sound will echo forever in the halls of the universe. There was once a wise man who was asked what he wanted to be remembered for. He thought for a moment and said that he didn't want to be remembered at all. He explained that if he had lived his life correctly, he would be like a handful of salt that had dissolved into a great soup. You wouldn't see the salt, but you would taste its influence in every bite. This is the true legacy of a life well lived, a quiet, pervasive influence of kindness and wisdom that makes the whole world a little better, even if no one knows your name. We should strive to be that salt, to dissolve ourselves into the soup of life with such grace and selflessness that our presence is felt in the heart of everyone we touch. When we live this way, we are no longer afraid of our own end, because we know that we have already become part of everything. We have transcended the small, limited identity of the ego and found our true home in the hearts of others. We are the flavor of the world, the warmth of the sun, and the peace of the silent forest. Let us walk through the remaining miles of our journey with a light step and a grateful heart, sharing our light with everyone we meet. Let us make the world a little brighter, a little kinder, and a little more peaceful by our presence. In doing so, we are preparing ourselves for the final transition, making it a beautiful and natural movement into the light. We are part of a magnificent mystery, and we are being guided by a wisdom that is beyond our understanding. Trust in that wisdom, trust in that light, and trust in yourself. Everything is exactly as it should be, and you are a vital part of the great harmony. There is no room for fear, only for a deep and abiding love for all of life. Breathe in the peace of the universe, and breathe out the anxiety of the mind. You are whole, you are complete, and you are eternal. This is the truth that will set you free, the truth that will guide you home, and the truth that will keep you safe forever. The path ahead is clear, and the light is always shining. Consider the way a master weaver creates a tapestry, using many different colors and textures to create a single, beautiful image. Each thread is necessary, each knot is important, and each ending is just a part of the pattern. From the back of the tapestry, it may look like a tangled mess of strings and knots, but from the front, it is a masterpiece of art. Our lives are like the back of the tapestry, full of knots and loose ends that don't seem to make sense. But from the perspective of the infinite, our lives are a perfect and beautiful part of the whole. When we finally see the front of the tapestry, we will understand why every knot was necessary and why every thread had to end where it did. We will see the beauty of the pattern and the wisdom of the weaver, and we will realize that our lives were always a masterpiece. This is the truth that gives us the courage to keep weaving, even when the pattern is hard to see and the threads are getting thin. We are part of something magnificent, and our role is vital to the beauty of the whole. So let us weave our lives with love and kindness, using the best threads we can find and making every knot a knot of peace. Let us not worry about the back of the tapestry, but focus on the beauty of the work. The silence that follows these words is not an end, but a space for the truth to settle in your heart. Let it sit there like a quiet friend, offering comfort and strength as you move through your day. Remember that you are a miracle, a precious and eternal part of the universe, and that there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can ever take that away from you. The transition you fear is just the next step on a glorious journey, and you are ready for it, more ready than you can possibly imagine. Walk with peace, live with love, and trust in the wisdom of the great mystery that created you. You are safe, you are loved, and you are home. Always. Every step of the way, every breath of the journey, you are exactly where you need to be, and you are becoming exactly who you were meant to be. The horizon is not an end, it is an invitation, and you are being called to discover the infinite beauty that lies beyond. There was a story of a young man who was terrified of the ocean until he met a wise sailor who told him that the ocean is not a place where things go to drown, but a place where the whole world comes together. The sailor showed him how the tides bring gifts from faraway lands and how the water reflects the light of the stars. The young man realized that the ocean was a source of life, not death, and he spent the rest of his days sailing its vast blue expanse with a heart full of wonder. We can be like that young man, choosing to see the great transitions of our lives not as a scary ocean that will swallow us up, but as a vast and beautiful sea that connects us to everything that ever was and ever will be. We are not drowning in time, we are sailing in eternity, and the wind in our sails is the very breath of life itself. The journey is grand, the sea is wide, and the light is always guiding us toward the shore of pure peace. Every morning when we wake up, we are given a new chance to practice this art of living and letting go. We can practice by letting go of the anger from yesterday, the worries about tomorrow, and the attachments that keep our hearts heavy. Each act of letting go is a small practice for the final transition, making it easier and more natural when the time comes. We are training our souls to be light, to be free, and to be ready for the ultimate flight. In the ancient monasteries, there was a saying that to live well is to prepare for a good end, and to have a good end is to have lived well. They are two sides of the same coin, inseparable and equally important. By living with awareness and compassion, we are building a foundation of peace that will support us through every change and every challenge. We are creating a reservoir of light that will illuminate our path even in the darkest moments. Let us focus on building that reservoir today, through our thoughts, our words, and our actions. Let us be the light that we wish to see in the world, and let us be the peace that we wish to find in ourselves. In doing so, we become part of the great solution to the fear of the unknown, showing others that it is possible to live with joy and face the end with grace. This is the greatest gift we can give to the world and to ourselves. The truth is that we are all in this together, and we are all going to the same place. There is a deep and beautiful solidarity in our shared mortality, a bond that transcends all our differences. When we look at each other through the lens of our shared journey, we see that there is no reason for conflict or hatred. We are all just trying to find our way home, and the best way to get there is by holding each other's hands and walking together in the light. Walk in peace, for you are home. Imagine the profound stillness of a great cathedral at midnight, where the echoes of the day have finally faded, and the only thing remaining is the soft, golden glow of a few remaining candles. In that deep silence, the space itself seems to breathe, holding a presence that is much larger than the stones and the stained glass. We often mistake the activity of our lives for the life itself, thinking that if we stop moving, we stop existing. But just as the cathedral is most itself when the doors are closed and the crowds are gone, our true essence is most vibrant when we are stripped of our roles, our possessions, and our physical strength. The truth that many keep hidden in the shadows of their hearts is that the end of our physical movement is not a freezing of the spirit, but a deepening into a stillness that is the source of all movement. In the old legends of a hidden valley, there was a river that was said to flow upward toward the highest peaks of the mountains. Travelers who reached its banks were confused, for they had spent their whole lives believing that water only moved downward toward the sea. A wise elder living in a cave nearby explained that the water was not moving against nature, it was simply answering the call of the sun, turning into a fine mist that rose to join the clouds. The river was not losing its identity by becoming mist, it was simply finding a way to reach the highest heavens and see the world from a vantage point that the sea could never know. Our lives are like that upward flowing river, a constant process of refining our heavy, earthbound experiences into a light, soaring wisdom that is ready to merge with the infinite. There is a subtle grace in the way a master musician sets down his bow after the final note of a complex sonata, letting the vibration of the strings linger in the air like a phantom memory. The music is not over just because the sound has stopped, it has moved from the ears of the audience into their hearts, becoming a part of their own inner melody. We spend so much energy worrying about when our own bow will be set down, but we forget that the music we have played with our lives will continue to vibrate in the universe forever. Every note of kindness, every chord of courage, and every harmony of love we have created is a permanent addition to the cosmic song. We are not just the players, we are the music, and the music is eternal, echoing through the vast chambers of time long after the performance has ended. Consider the way a master weaver prepares a silk thread, pulling it from the cocoon of a creature that has long since transformed and flown away. The cocoon was a temporary home, a necessary vessel for a miraculous change, but it was never the butterfly itself. We often treat our bodies and our current circumstances as if they were the final destination, when they are actually just the cocoons of our spiritual evolution. The moments of transition, the endings that we fear so much, are actually the points where the silk is being harvested to create something even more beautiful and lasting. We are the silk, we are the thread, and we are the magnificent tapestry that is being woven by the hands of the divine. When we let go of the cocoon, we are not losing our home, we are finally stepping into our true nature as beings of light and air. In the ancient desert cities, there was a tradition of the night watchman who would walk the walls not to look for enemies, but to watch for the first light of the morning star. He understood that the darkness was not a wall, but a womb, a place where the light was being gathered and concentrated before it burst forth as a new day. We often view the closing chapters of our lives as a descent into a dark night, but what if we are actually the night watchman, standing on the walls of our experience and watching for the emergence of a light that is brighter than anything we have ever known? The darkness is not the end of the light, it is the threshold of a brilliance that we can only see once our physical eyes are closed. There was a story of an old clockmaker who spent his life building clocks that didn't show the hour or the minute, but instead showed the movement of the tides and the phases of the moon. He told his neighbors that the sun and the moon do not care about human time, they move in a rhythm that is ancient and vast, a rhythm that knows nothing of hurry or delay. When his own heart began to slow down, he did not look at it as a clock running out of time, but as a rhythm finding its way back to the silence of the moon. He understood that his life was a single beat in a magnificent, universal pulse, and that the pausing of that beat was just as important as the striking of it. We are so caught up in the mechanical time of our schedules and our deadlines that we forget the organic time of our souls. We think of the end as a deadline we cannot miss, when it is actually a return to the timelessness of our true home. In the silence that exists between our thoughts, there is a space that has no beginning and no end, a space where we are already eternal and already free. When we find that space within ourselves, the fear of the physical transition dissolves like sugar in a cup of warm tea. We realize that we are not the hand that holds the cup, nor are we the tea itself, we are the warmth that remains long after the cup is empty. Imagine a grand old library where every book is a life story, and the librarian is a being of infinite patience and love. When a book is finished and returned to the shelf, it is not forgotten, it becomes a part of the collective wisdom of the universe, available for all to read and learn from. You are currently writing your own book, page by page, with every choice you make and every breath you take. The end of the book is not the end of the story, it is just the moment you hand your work back to the librarian, knowing that your words will inspire and guide others for all of eternity. The library is eternal, the wisdom is vast, and your story is a vital and unique chapter in the great book of life. There was once a wise gardener who was asked why he spent so much time tending to flowers that only bloomed for a single hour at midnight. He smiled and said that the beauty of a flower is not measured by its duration, but by the intensity of its fragrance and the purity of its color. He explained that a single hour of perfect blooming is worth more than a century of dull existence. We should strive to make our lives like those midnight flowers, blooming with such passion and such clarity that even a short time is enough to fill the world with wonder. When we live this way, the quantity of our days becomes less important than the quality of our presence, and the fear of the end is replaced by a deep sense of fulfillment. In the old days, the explorers of the high seas would often use the stars to navigate, trusting in the fixed points of light to guide them through the shifting, unpredictable waves. They understood that while the sea was constantly changing, the heavens were steady and reliable. Our lives are like those shifting waves, full of movement and uncertainty, but within us, there are fixed points of light, our values, our love, and our connection to the truth. When we keep our eyes on those inner stars, we can navigate any storm and face any horizon with a calm heart. The final transition is just the moment when we leave the boat and become one with the stars that have been guiding us all along. The truth that few dare to speak is that we are the architects of our own peace, and that peace is built on the foundation of our ability to let go. Every time we release a grudge, every time we surrender a desire, and every time we accept a change, we are practicing the ultimate art of letting go. We are thinning the veil between ourselves and the infinite, making it easier for the light of the truth to shine through. When the final moment of letting go arrives, it will not feel like a struggle, but like a natural and graceful movement into the light. We have already done the hard work of releasing the heavy luggage of the ego, and we are ready to fly. Think of the way a great forest creates its own weather, pulling moisture from the earth and releasing it into the sky to create rain that nourishes the trees. The forest is a closed system of giving and receiving, a cycle of life that is constantly renewing itself. We are part of that same cycle, receiving the gift of life from the universe and giving it back through our deeds and our love. When we return our physical form to the earth, we are not leaving the system, we are just moving into a different part of the cycle. Our energy, our consciousness, and our essence will continue to nourish the world in ways we cannot even imagine. There was a story of a traveler who found a small, hidden courtyard in the middle of a busy, noisy city. In the center of the courtyard was a quiet fountain, and the only sound was the gentle splashing of the water. He sat there for a long time, and the noise of the city began to fade away, replaced by a deep sense of peace and stillness. He realized that the courtyard was always there, right in the middle of the chaos, but he had been too busy and too loud to notice it. Our inner peace is like that hidden courtyard, a place of quietness and beauty that is always available to us if we can just find our way past the noise of our own thoughts. Let us make the effort to visit that courtyard every day, to sit by the fountain of our own inner wisdom and find the strength to face the challenges of the world. Let us remember that we are never alone, and that the same peace that lives within us also lives within everyone else. When we connect with this shared peace, we realize that there is no reason for fear or conflict. We are all just travelers trying to find our way back to the courtyard, and the best way to get there is by helping each other and walking together in the light. The silence that follows these words is not an end, it is an opening. It is a space for you to find your own truth, your own peace, and your own light. Remember that you are a miracle, a precious and eternal part of the universe, and that there is nothing that can ever take that away from you. The transition you fear is just the next step on a magnificent journey, and you are ready for it, more ready than you can possibly imagine. Walk with peace, live with love, and trust in the wisdom of the great mystery that created you. You are safe, you are loved, and you are home. Always. Every step of the way, every breath of the journey, you are exactly where you need to be, and you are becoming exactly who you were meant to be. The horizon is not an end, it is an invitation, and you are being called to discover the infinite beauty that lies beyond. Trust in the light, trust in the love, and trust in yourself. All is well, and all will be well, forever and ever. Consider the way a master woodcarver looks at a rough piece of wood, seeing the beautiful statue that is hidden within it. He does not see the knots and the cracks as flaws, but as opportunities to create something unique and profound. He removes the excess wood with a gentle but steady hand, letting the true form emerge in its own time. Our lives are like that piece of wood, and the events of our days are the strokes of the carver's chisel. We may not understand why some parts of us are being removed, but the carver knows that he is revealing the masterpiece of our soul. When the work is finally finished, the statue does not mourn the loss of the wood that was removed, it celebrates its own beauty and its own clarity. We will also reach a moment where we see the whole of our lives as a work of art, and we will understand why every stroke was necessary. We will see the beauty of the knots and the wisdom of the cracks, and we will realize that we were always being shaped into something magnificent. This is the truth that gives us the courage to keep growing, even when the process is difficult and the path is unclear. So let us live our lives with a sense of wonder and curiosity, trusting in the wisdom of the carver and the beauty of the work. Let us not worry about the wood that is falling away, but focus on the light that is being revealed. And when the final stroke is made, let us look at our lives with a sense of peace and satisfaction, knowing that we have become the masterpiece we were always meant to be. The carver is wise, the work is beautiful, and we are exactly where we need to be. The silence of the forest at dawn is not an absence of sound, it is a symphony of anticipation, the collective breath of every living thing waiting for the first touch of the sun. In that sacred moment, the distinction between the trees, the air, and the birds seems to disappear, and everything is part of a single, vibrating field of life. Our lives are a preparation for that dawn, a gathering of our light and our love so that when the sun of truth finally rises, we are ready to merge with it. We are not going into the dark, we are waiting for the light, and the wait is part of the beauty. Imagine a world where every ending was treated as a sacred transition, a moment to honor the journey and celebrate the transformation. In such a world, we would not hide from the reality of the end, but embrace it as a necessary part of our spiritual growth. We would support each other with kindness and compassion, knowing that we are all walking the same path and facing the same mystery. We would live with a sense of freedom and joy, knowing that our true essence is eternal and that we are always safe in the arms of the infinite. We can start to create that world today, within our own hearts and our own families. By changing our own perspective, we change the vibration of the world around us, spreading a message of peace and hope to everyone we meet. This is the greatest service we can offer to humanity, to show that it is possible to live without fear and face the end with grace. We are the light of the world, and our radiance is most needed in the moments of transition. Let us carry this light with us as we move through our day, letting it shine on the small moments of joy and the large moments of challenge. Let us be the peace that we wish to find in others, and the love that we wish to receive from the universe. In doing so, we are not just preparing for our own end, we are contributing to the healing of the whole world. We are part of a grand, divine plan, and our role is vital and unique. Trust in that plan, trust in your own strength, and trust in the beauty of the journey. The path ahead is clear, and the light is always guiding us. There is no need for hurry, and there is no room for doubt. We are exactly where we need to be, and we are doing exactly what we need to do. Breathe in the peace of the infinite, and breathe out the worries of the small self. You are a magnificent and eternal being, and your journey is just beginning. The end is not a wall, it is a doorway, and the light on the other side is the warmest and most welcoming light you have ever known. Every morning when we wake up, we are given a new page in the book of our lives. Let us write a story of courage, a story of kindness, and a story of love. Let us make every word count and every moment matter. And when the final page is reached, let us look back with a heart that is full and a spirit that is light, knowing that we have written a masterpiece. Your life is your gift to the universe, and the universe is waiting to receive it with open arms. The truth that so many are afraid to speak is that you are already home. You are already at peace. You are already eternal. The fear you feel is just a cloud passing through the vast sky of your mind. Let the cloud drift by, and look up at the infinite blue of your true nature. You are safe, you are loved, and you are free. This is the ultimate realization that dissolves all boundaries and brings a peace that is beyond all understanding. Walk on with a light heart, a steady step, and a peaceful mind. You are never alone, and the destination is more beautiful than anything you can imagine. Every ending is a magnificent new beginning, and every parting is a promise of a future meeting in the light. Trust in the light, trust in the love, and trust in yourself. All is well, forever and ever. Consider the way a tiny seed pushes through the dark, heavy soil to find the light of the sun. It does not know what it will become, but it carries within it the blueprint for a grand old oak tree. It trusts in the power of life and the wisdom of the earth, and it never stops reaching for the light. We are that seed, and our transition through the dark soil of our human life is just the process of becoming the magnificent tree of our spirit. We should not fear the dark, for it is the place where our strength is gathered and our growth begins. When we finally reach the light, we will understand why every struggle was necessary and why every moment of darkness was a gift. We will see the beauty of our own growth and the wisdom of our own journey. We will realize that we were never just a seed, we were always the tree, waiting for the right moment to bloom. This is the truth that gives us the courage to keep pushing through the soil, even when the way is hard and the light is far away. So let us live our lives with the persistence of the seed and the patience of the tree. Let us trust in the wisdom of the universe and the power of our own inner light. And when we finally stand tall in the sun, let us look back at our journey with a heart that is full of gratitude and peace, knowing that we have become everything we were meant to be. The sun is warm, the light is bright, and we are exactly where we need to be. The silence that follows these words is a sacred space, a place for you to connect with your own inner truth. Listen to the whisper of your soul, the voice that knows you are eternal and that all is well. That voice is always there, waiting for you to listen, waiting to guide you home. Trust in that voice, trust in that silence, and trust in the great journey that is unfolding before you. You are a miracle, a precious and eternal part of the universe, and your light will never be extinguished. Walk in peace, live in love, and know that you are home. Always. Think for a moment about the soft rhythm of a weaver at a wooden loom, where each pass of the shuttle brings together threads of different colors to create a single, unified story. The weaver does not worry when one spool of silk runs empty, for they know that the beauty of the fabric depends on the transition from one shade to another. Our lives are woven from the threads of our experiences, and what we perceive as the end is merely the weaver picking up a new, more radiant thread to continue the design in a different room. The truth that many are hesitant to whisper is that we are not the thread itself, which can be cut or broken, we are the weaver, sitting in a space of eternal creativity, forever designing new patterns of light and love. In the old stories of a mountain kingdom, there was a traveler who found a hidden gate made of ancient, twisted roots that seemed to lead into the heart of the earth. He was afraid to enter, fearing the darkness and the cold, until he noticed that the air flowing from the gate smelled of jasmine and fresh rain. He stepped through and found himself in a vast valley where the grass glowed with its own inner light and the rivers sang melodies that healed the heart. He realized that the gate was not a mouth of a cave, but the entrance to a world that was more real than the one he had left behind. Our physical passing is that gate of roots, and while it may look dark from the outside, it leads to a landscape of such immense beauty and peace that our human words fail to describe it. There is a gentle wisdom in the way a forest prepares for the winter, not by mourning the loss of its leaves, but by drawing its energy deep into its roots, where it can rest and dream in the cool silence of the earth. The trees understand that the stillness of the season is not a cessation of life, but a profound inward journey, a gathering of strength for a spring that is already written in the heart of every seed. We often spend our lives terrified of the winter of our existence, forgetting that our roots are planted in the soil of eternity. When we shed the vibrant leaves of our youth and the sturdy branches of our middle years, we are simply returning to that deep, inner sanctuary where we are safe, warm, and forever connected to the source of all growth. Consider the way a master jeweler looks at a rough, unpolished stone, seeing not the dirt and the jagged edges, but the brilliant diamond that waits within. Each chip of the chisel and each rub of the polishing cloth may seem like a harsh treatment, but the jeweler knows that they are only removing the parts that are not the diamond. Our challenges, our sorrows, and even the final shedding of the body are the tools of the great jeweler, stripping away the layers of ego and attachment so that our true, indestructible radiance can finally shine forth. We are not being destroyed by the events of our lives, we are being polished into a gem that is worthy of the light of the sun. In the ancient scrolls of a forgotten temple, there is a poem about a bird that lived in a cage of gold, singing songs of the sky that it had never seen. One day, the cage door was left open, and the bird flew out, discovering that the blue of the horizon was far more beautiful than the glitter of its golden bars. It realized that the cage, while comfortable, was a prison that kept it from its true nature as a creature of the air. Our bodies are those golden cages, built from the atoms of the earth and the stories of our ancestors. When the door is finally opened, we do not lose our song, we find the space to sing it across the entire universe, no longer confined by the limits of a small, wooden perch. There was once a wise man who lived by a quiet lake and spent his days watching the ripples made by a single drop of rain. He noticed that as soon as the drop hit the surface, it ceased to be a drop and became the entire lake, its energy spreading out in perfect circles toward every shore. He told his friends that the drop did not die when it touched the water, it simply expanded its boundaries until it was one with the whole. We are those raindrops, falling from the clouds of our origin into the lake of human experience. When we reach the end of our fall, we are not disappearing, we are expanding, merging with the vast, cool water of the infinite where we have always belonged. The truth that few people dare to speak is that the fear of the end is simply a misunderstanding of our own magnitude. We have become so small in our own minds, identifying with our names, our jobs, and the reflection we see in the mirror, that we have forgotten we are the stars, the wind, and the eternal silence between the notes of a song. When we let go of the small self, we do not become nothing, we become everything. We find a peace that is as deep as the ocean and a joy that is as bright as the morning sun. This is the ultimate homecoming, the moment when the traveler realizes that the home they were searching for was the very ground they were walking on all along. Think of the way a candle flame is not afraid when the wax is nearly gone, but instead burns with a sudden, brilliant intensity as it prepares to move beyond the wick. The light does not go out, it simply returns to the source of all heat, becoming part of the warmth that fills the room and the glow that remains in the hearts of those who sat by its side. We are that flame, and our final transition is a moment of pure, radiant energy, a release of the light that has been burning within us since the moment we were born. We are not being extinguished, we are being set free to join the great fire of the cosmos, where we will shine forever in a billion different forms. In the quiet hours before the dawn, if you listen to the silence of the world, you can hear the faint, steady hum of the earth spinning on its axis, a sound that is both ancient and ever new. This hum is the breath of the universe, the rhythm of a life that knows no beginning and no end. When we align our own heartbeat with this cosmic rhythm, we realize that we are never alone and that we can never be lost. We are part of a magnificent, unfolding mystery, a story that is being told in the language of light and love. The transition we face is just a turn of the page, a new chapter in an eternal tale that is more beautiful than anything we can imagine. There was a story of a young woman who found a broken mirror in a dark alley and was sad because it could no longer show her a whole image of herself. A wise elder passed by and told her that the broken pieces were actually a gift, for each shard now reflected a different part of the sky, the trees, and the light of the sun. He explained that by being broken, the mirror had become 1,000 eyes that could see the beauty of the whole world. Our lives are often broken by the trials of time and the finality of the physical end, but in that breaking, we are open to a vision that is far more vast and profound than the one we had when we were whole. We are no longer looking at ourselves, we are looking at the infinite. This is the courage that comes from understanding the true nature of our existence. We are not fragile beings made of clay, we are eternal spirits made of light. The clay may break and return to the earth, but the light is untouched, moving through the cycles of time with a grace that is beyond understanding. When we embrace this truth, the shadows of the future lose their power to frighten us. We walk toward the horizon with a steady step and an open heart, knowing that the light we carry within us is the same light that illuminates the stars. We are safe, we are loved, and we are home, now and forever. Imagine a garden where the flowers do not bloom for themselves, but for the joy of the sun and the dance of the bees. When a flower fades, it does not feel that its life was wasted, for it has shared its fragrance and its color with the world, and its essence remains in the seeds that will bring forth new beauty in the seasons to come. We are the flowers in the garden of humanity, and our purpose is to bloom with all the love and kindness we can muster. When it is our time to fade, we can do so with a heart that is full, knowing that our fragrance will linger in the air and our seeds will nourish the future. This is the quiet truth that brings peace to the soul, the knowledge that we are part of an eternal cycle of giving and receiving. Every person we meet is a mirror reflecting a different facet of our own soul, a fellow traveler on the same sacred path. When we look at each other with the eyes of the Spirit, we see that there are no strangers, only brothers and sisters in the light. We can support each other through the shadows and celebrate each other's radiance, knowing that we are all part of the same magnificent story. By helping each other, we make the journey lighter and the destination more joyous. Every kind word, every compassionate gesture, and every shared moment of silence is a thread of light that connects us to the infinite. There was once a king who was so afraid of the night that he ordered his servants to keep thousands of lamps burning at all times, making his palace as bright as the noonday sun. But despite the artificial light, the king was still afraid, for he knew that the darkness was still there, just beyond the walls. It was only when a simple monk taught him to sit in the silence of the dark and find the light within his own heart that the king finally found peace. He realized that the darkness was not an enemy to be fought, but a space where the true light could be found. We often try to hide from the transitions of life by filling our days with noise and activity, but it is only in the quiet, dark spaces of our existence that we can find the peace that never fades. The silence that follows a long and beautiful life is not empty, it is filled with the resonance of every kind act, every honest word, and every moment of genuine love. This resonance is a song that continues to play in the hearts of everyone we touched, a melody that inspires and comforts long after the singer has moved on. We are the composers of our own resonance, and we can choose to make it a masterpiece of compassion and grace. When we live with this awareness, the end of our physical song is not a tragedy, but a beautiful resolution, a final note that carries the entire symphony into the silence of the infinite. Consider the way a master archer draws his bow, focusing all his energy on the target before releasing the arrow into the air. The arrow does not feel afraid as it flies through the sky, for it knows that it is moving toward its destination with a purpose and a direction that were given to it by the archer. Our lives are like that arrow, released into the world by a wisdom that is far greater than our own. The final transition is the moment the arrow reaches the mark, a moment of perfect stillness and completion. We should not fear the flight, for it is the very purpose for which we were created, and the mark we are moving toward is a place of pure light and eternal rest. In the silence of a deep forest at sunset, you can see the golden light filtering through the leaves, turning everything it touches into a treasure. For a few brief moments, the world seems to be made of pure gold, a radiant and perfect reflection of the divine. This is the light that lives within us, the light that we are here to share with the world. When the sun finally sets and the golden glow fades, the forest remains, quiet and peaceful, waiting for the stars to emerge. Our lives are a sunset, a beautiful and fleeting display of light and color, and the end is just the moment the stars begin to shine. We are the sunset, and we are the stars, and we are the silence that holds them both. Let us carry this peace with us as we walk through the remaining miles of our journey, letting it illuminate our path and warm our hearts. Let us be the light that we wish to find, and the love that we wish to receive. In doing so, we become part of the great healing of the world, showing others that it is possible to face the unknown with a smile and a grateful spirit. We are travelers on a sacred path, and the destination is more beautiful than anything we have ever dreamed. Trust in the light, trust in the journey, and trust in the eternal wisdom that guides you home. Every breath we take is a gift from the universe, a tiny miracle that happens thousands of times every day. When we appreciate the simple beauty of a single breath, we stop giving power to the fears of the future. We realize that the present moment is the only place where life truly exists, and that in this moment, we are safe, we are whole, and we are enough. The final breath of the body is just the completion of a long and beautiful sequence of gifts, a final exhale that carries us into the heart of the infinite. There is no need for worry, no need for struggle. Just breathe, just love, and just be. The truth that is whispered in the rustle of the leaves and the flow of the mountain streams is that we are never truly separated from the ones we love. The bonds of the heart are not made of flesh and bone, but of light and memory, and light can never be destroyed. When a loved one moves beyond the physical realm, they do not leave us, they simply change the way they are present in our lives. They become the warmth of the sun on our faces, the whisper of the wind in the trees, and the quiet voice of wisdom in our hearts. They have returned to the source, and since we are also part of that source, we are forever connected in the vast, loving embrace of the universe. Imagine a grand old house with many rooms, each one filled with its own unique beauty and history. We spend our lives moving from one room to another, learning the lessons and enjoying the experiences that each space has to offer. The final transition is just the moment we step through the last door and find ourselves in a magnificent garden that surrounds the entire house. We are not leaving our home, we are just moving into the most beautiful part of it, a place where the sun always shines and the flowers never fade. We can look back at the house with gratitude for all it taught us, while looking forward to the infinite wonders of the garden. There was a story of an old sailor who spent his life searching for a mythical island where the water was said to be as clear as glass and the sand as white as snow. He sailed through many storms and faced many dangers, but he never found the island. It was only when his boat finally began to sink and he was forced to swim toward a distant shore that he realized the island he had been looking for was the very place he had been born. He had spent his life searching for what he already had. We are often like that sailor, searching for peace and security in the outer world, when the true island of rest is already within us, waiting to be discovered in the silence of our own hearts. Let us stop searching and start being. Let us find the island of peace within ourselves today, and let that peace guide us through every change and every challenge. When we are anchored in our own inner truth, the storms of the world can no longer toss us about. We can face the horizon with a calm mind and a steady heart, knowing that we are already where we need to be. The end is not a destination we are moving toward, it is a reality we are already part of, a state of being that is eternal and unchanging. The silence that follows these words is a sacred space, a place for the truth to settle in your heart like a quiet friend. Remember that you are a miracle, a precious and eternal part of the universe, and that your light will never be extinguished. The transition you fear is just the next step on a glorious journey, and you are ready for it, more ready than you can possibly imagine. Walk with peace, live with love, and trust in the wisdom of the great mystery that created you. You are safe, you are loved, and you are home. Always. Every step of the way, every breath of the journey, you are exactly where you need to be. Think of the delicate relationship between a mountain stream and the pebbles it carries along its path, where the constant movement of the water is not an act of aggression, but a long, slow embrace that turns rough stones into smooth jewels. The pebbles do not resist the flow, nor do they fear the moment they are deposited in the deep, quiet silt of the delta, for they know that their shape was forged by the journey itself. Our lives are being shaped by a similar current of time and experience, a flow that is refining our edges and polishing our souls until we are ready to rest in the vast, still depths of the eternal. The truth that many are afraid to voice is that the stillness at the end is not a lack of life, but the perfection of it, the moment when the carving is done and the masterpiece is finally still, reflecting the light of the sun in every smooth surface. In a small village tucked away in a forest of ancient pines, there was a legend of a mirror made of frozen moonlight that sat at the edge of a sacred well. People would travel for miles to look into the mirror, hoping to see their future, but all they ever saw was the reflection of the trees, the sky, and the deep, dark water of the well. A wise woman who lived by the well told them that the mirror was not meant to show them what was coming, but to remind them of what was already there, the deep, unchanging presence of the earth and the infinite expanse of the stars. She explained that when we stop looking for ourselves in the future, we finally find ourselves in the present, a place where there is no fear because there is no time. Our departure from this physical realm is like stepping into that sacred well, leaving behind the reflections of the mirror and merging with the deep, cool water that has always been there, supporting the world from below. We spend so much time worrying about the reflection in the glass, the image of who we think we are, that we forget we are the water itself, deep, silent, and eternal. When the mirror finally breaks, we are not lost, we are simply freed from the limitation of the image, allowed to expand into the fullness of our true nature. This is the profound secret of the great transition, that we are not going into the unknown, but returning to the source of everything we have ever known. There was a story of a master woodworker who spent his life building beautiful chairs, but he never used any nails or glue to hold them together. Instead, he carved the wood so precisely that the pieces fit together in a perfect, interlocking harmony. He said that the strength of the chair came from the way the different parts supported each other, not from anything forced upon them. Our lives are like those chairs, built from the interlocking pieces of our relationships, our experiences, and our love. When the time comes for the chair to be taken apart, the wood is not destroyed, it is simply released from the form, ready to be used in a new and different way. The harmony remains, for the skill of the master is not in the chair, but in the understanding of the wood. We often think that our identity is held together by the glue of our physical bodies and the nails of our worldly possessions. We fear that when these things are gone, we will fall apart into nothingness. But the true strength of our being comes from the way we have interlocked our lives with the lives of others, the way we have shared our light and our love. That connection is not made of physical matter, and it cannot be destroyed by the passing of time. We are held together by a spiritual harmony that is as strong as the ancient pines and as enduring as the stars. When the physical form is released, the harmony continues, vibrating in the hearts of those we touched and echoing through the vast chambers of the universe. In the old days, there was a tradition among the desert nomads to leave a small fire burning at their campsite when they moved on, a gift for the next traveler who might come that way in the cold of the night. They did not look back to see who used the fire, and they did not ask for anything in return, they simply gave the gift of warmth and light. Our lives are those small fires, lit in the middle of a vast and often cold world. We spend our days gathering the fuel of our experiences and our kindness, keeping the flame alive so that others can find their way. When it is our time to move on, we leave the fire behind, knowing that its warmth will continue to comfort the world long after we have disappeared into the horizon. There is a quiet dignity in this act of leaving the fire behind, a realization that our purpose was never to own the light, but to be the guardians of it for a short time. When we let go of the need to take the fire with us, we find that we are actually becoming the light itself, a radiance that no longer needs a hearth or fuel to exist. We are moving from the small flame to the great sun, from the temporary campsite to the eternal home. This is the truth that brings peace to the heart, the knowledge that our life was a gift to the future, and that the future is safe in the warmth of the love we left behind. Imagine a grand old library where the books are not made of paper and ink, but of light and memory. Each time you perform an act of kindness or share a moment of genuine connection, a new page is written in the great book of your soul. This book is not kept on a shelf, but is woven into the very fabric of the cosmos, where it can never be lost or forgotten. Your physical body is just the pen that writes the words, and when the pen finally runs dry, the story is already complete, a masterpiece of light that will shine forever. You are not the pen, and you are not the paper, you are the story itself, a beautiful and unique narrative that is part of the eternal wisdom of the universe. There was a wise man who was asked how he could be so happy when he lived in such a simple, humble hut. He smiled and said that the hut was just a place to keep his tools, while his true home was the entire world. He explained that when he looked at the mountains, they were his walls, and when he looked at the sky, it was his roof. He felt a sense of belonging that no palace could ever provide, for he was connected to everything that lived and breathed. We often spend our lives trying to build bigger and better huts, thinking they will make us feel safe and happy. But true security comes from the realization that we already belong to the universe, and that our home is as vast as the light of the stars. When we reach the end of our journey in the hut, we are not being cast out into the cold, we are simply stepping out of the small room and into the vastness of our true home. We are leaving the tools behind because the work is done, and we are ready to enjoy the beauty of the world we have helped to create. This is the graduation of the soul, the moment when the student becomes the teacher and the traveler becomes the destination. We are not losing our place in the world, we are finally taking our rightful place in the heart of the infinite. In the silence of a high mountain peak, where the air is thin and the world below seems like a distant dream, you can feel the presence of a peace that is older than the mountains themselves. This peace is not the absence of sound, but the presence of a deep, underlying harmony that connects all things. It is the peace of the spirit, a state of being that is untouched by the worries and the fears of the world. When we find this peace within ourselves, we realize that we have always been safe, and that the transitions of life are just the movement of the clouds below us. We are the mountain, standing tall in the light of the truth, and the end is just the moment the clouds finally clear, revealing the infinite beauty of the horizon. Consider the way a master musician plays a single, long note on a flute, letting the sound rise and fall with the breath until it finally fades into the silence of the room. The note was beautiful while it lasted, but the silence that follows is even more profound, for it holds the memory of the music and the resonance of the soul that played it. Our lives are that single note, a brief and beautiful expression of the divine breath. When the note finally ends, we do not disappear into nothingness, we merge with the silence that is the source of all music. We are the note, and we are the breath, and we are the eternal silence that holds them both in perfect balance. Every person we encounter is a fellow musician in the great symphony of existence, each one playing their own unique part in the masterpiece. When we listen to each other with the ears of the heart, we hear the beauty of the harmony and the wisdom of the composition. We realize that we are not competing with each other, but supporting each other, creating a song that is far more magnificent than anything we could play alone. By helping each other to play our parts with grace and love, we are contributing to the healing of the world and the glory of the infinite. Every kind word, every shared smile, and every moment of genuine connection is a beautiful note in the eternal song. There was once a king who was so obsessed with his own reflection that he ordered every wall in his palace to be covered in mirrors. He spent his days admiring his own beauty and his nights worrying about the first wrinkle that would appear on his face. It was only when a blind beggar taught him to see with his heart that the king finally found peace. He realized that the mirrors only showed him the outer shell of who he was, while his true beauty was hidden deep within his soul. He ordered the mirrors to be taken down and replaced with windows, so that he could see the beauty of the world and the needs of his people. We are often like that king, obsessed with the reflection of our physical selves and the image we present to the world. We fear the passing of time because it changes the reflection, making us feel that we are losing our value and our identity. But the truth is that our true value is found in the light of our soul, a light that only grows brighter as we learn the lessons of life and the wisdom of letting go. When we stop looking at the mirrors and start looking through the windows of our hearts, we see a world that is full of beauty and opportunity. We see that we are part of a magnificent mystery, and that our role is to share our light with everyone we meet. The silence that follows a life lived with kindness and compassion is not a void, but a sanctuary, a place of rest and renewal for the spirit. It is the silence of a forest after a gentle rain, where every leaf is glistening with moisture and every bird is singing a song of gratitude. This silence is filled with the resonance of all the love we gave and all the beauty we created. It is the ultimate reward for a journey well traveled, a peace that is beyond all understanding. When we approach the end with a heart that is full, we find that the silence is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced, a soft and welcoming embrace that carries us home to the infinite. Imagine a garden where the flowers are not planted in the soil, but in the hearts of the people who tend them. Every time you share a kind word or a helping hand, you are planting a seed of love that will bloom in the heart of another. This garden is eternal, for the flowers of the heart never fade, and their fragrance lingers in the air of the universe forever. You are the gardener of your own soul, and your task is to fill the world with beauty and light. When it is your time to leave the garden, you do not go alone. You are surrounded by the flowers you have planted and the love you have shared. The truth that so many are afraid to say is that you are already more than enough, just as you are. You do not need to achieve great things or possess vast wealth to be worthy of the universe's love. Your worth is inherent in your very existence, in your ability to feel, to think, and to love. When you realize this, the pressure to prove yourself disappears, and you can live with a simple, quiet dignity that is untouched by the opinions of others or the passing of time. You are a unique and precious expression of the divine, and that can never be taken away. Walk with peace, for you are home. Think of the way a great forest creates its own atmosphere, a cool and refreshing space that is protected from the heat of the sun and the noise of the world. Within the forest, there is a sense of safety and belonging, a knowledge that every tree, every leaf, and every insect is part of a single, living organism. Our lives are like that forest, a collection of experiences and connections that create a unique and beautiful atmosphere of the soul. When we live with awareness and compassion, we are creating a forest of peace that provides shelter and comfort for everyone we meet. When the time comes for our individual tree to fall, the forest remains, and our life continues in the soil, the saplings, and the air of the woods. We are not being removed from life, we are being integrated into it in a deeper and more profound way. Our energy and our essence become part of the great cycle of renewal that keeps the forest healthy and vibrant. This is the quiet truth that allows us to face the changes of life with a calm mind and a steady heart, knowing that we are always safe and always part of the whole. Every morning when we wake up, we are given a new chance to plant a seed of kindness and share a moment of light. Let us not waste our precious days on anger, jealousy, or petty grievances. Let us focus on the beauty of the present moment and the potential of our own hearts. By living with such intention and grace, we are preparing ourselves for the final transition, making it a natural and peaceful movement into the infinite. We are part of a magnificent mystery, and we are being guided by a wisdom that is beyond our understanding. Trust in that wisdom, trust in that light, and trust in yourself. Everything is exactly as it should be, and you are a vital part of the great harmony. There is no room for fear, only for a deep and abiding love for all of life. Breathe in the peace of the universe, and breathe out the anxiety of the mind. You are whole, you are complete, and you are eternal. This is the truth that will set you free, the truth that will guide you home, and the truth that will keep you safe forever. The path ahead is clear, and the light is always shining, a steady and welcoming glow that shows the way through the shadows. Consider the way a master calligrapher prepares for a single stroke of the brush, focusing all their energy and their attention on the moment of creation. The stroke is brief and unique, but it carries the essence of the artist's spirit and the wisdom of their years. Our lives are like that stroke of the brush, a brief and beautiful expression of our inner light. The beauty is not in the length of the stroke, but in the clarity and the grace with which it was made. Let us strive to make the stroke of our lives as beautiful as possible, leaving a mark of grace that will inspire others for generations to come. When the brush is finally lifted from the paper, the stroke is finished, but its beauty remains. We are that beauty, and our transition is just the lifting of the brush, a moment of perfect stillness and completion. We have made our mark, we have shared our light, and we have completed our part of the masterpiece. There is a profound satisfaction in a journey well traveled, and a deep peace in knowing that our contribution was meaningful and unique. The silence that follows is not an end, but a space for the truth to settle in the heart of the universe. The path we walk is a sacred path, a journey of the soul toward the light of the infinite. Every step we take is a lesson, every challenge is an opportunity, and every transition is a graduation. Let us walk with courage, let us live with love, and let us face the final horizon with a smile and a grateful heart. We are not afraid of the end, for we know that there is no end, only a magnificent new beginning. We are the stars, we are the wind, and we are the eternal light. All is well, forever and ever. Imagine a world where every person lived with this awareness, where every ending was treated as a sacred transformation and every parting was seen as a promise of a future reunion. In such a world, fear would have no place, and love would be the only law. We can start to create that world today, within our own hearts and our own families. By changing our own perspective, we change the vibration of the world around us, spreading a message of peace and hope to everyone we meet. This is the greatest service we can offer to humanity, to show that it is possible to live without fear and face the end with grace. As the sun sets and the day draws to a close, let us look back on our journey with a heart that is full of gratitude and peace. We have explored the deep questions, we have faced the shadows, and we have found the light. This is the work of a lifetime, and we have taken an important step on the path today. Carry this peace with you, let it nourish your soul, and let it shine through you into the world. You are a miracle, a precious and eternal part of the universe, and you are always exactly where you need to be. Walk in beauty, for you are home. Imagine the silent conversation between a great mountain and the clouds that drift around its peak, a dance of presence and absence that has continued for millions of years. The mountain does not reach out to grab the mist, nor does it feel diminished when the sky turns clear and blue, for it understands that its majesty is not defined by what clings to its surface. We often spend our energy trying to hold on to the fleeting clouds of our youth, our health, and our roles, fearing that if they drift away, we will be left as nothing but cold, bare stone. But the truth that resides in the deepest marrow of our being is that we are the mountain itself, solid, ancient, and perfectly whole, whether we are wrapped in the soft white veil of life or standing naked in the vast light of the infinite. There is a profound freedom in the realization that our physical form is merely a temporary costume borrowed from the elements of the earth. In the old stories of a hidden monastery, there was a monk who was tasked with painting a mural on a wall made of dry sand. He worked with incredible focus and love, creating vibrant images of lotus flowers and celestial beings, knowing all the while that the first strong wind would return his work to the desert floor. When the wind eventually came and wiped the wall clean, the monk did not weep, he simply smiled and said that the beauty was not in the sand, but in the heart that envisioned the light. Our lives are like that mural in the sand, a beautiful and temporary expression of an eternal spirit that can never be blown away by the winds of time. Consider the way a master archer draws back the string of a bow, creating a moment of intense tension and focused energy. The goal is not to hold the string forever, for that would only lead to fatigue and a loss of purpose. The beauty of the act is found in the release, the moment when the energy is transformed into flight and the arrow moves toward its invisible mark. Our lives are a gathering of energy, a slow and deliberate drawing of the bow through decades of learning and loving. The transition we call the end is simply the release, the point where we let go of the tension of being a separate self and allow our spirit to fly into the heart of the great mystery. There was once a legend of a golden bird that lived in the center of a dense, dark forest. The bird did not have a nest and did not eat the fruit of the trees, for it lived solely on the light of the stars. It spent its days singing a song that was so pure it could heal any wound, but the song could only be heard by those who had stopped running and learned to sit in total stillness. Many people searched for the bird, bringing cages and nets, but they only found silence and shadow. It was only when a weary traveler sat down to rest and accepted that they might never find the bird that the song finally filled the air. The truth we are often too busy to hear is that the bird is within us, and its song is the eternal vibration of our soul, a melody that continues long after the forest of the world has faded from view. We spend so much of our time building fences around our lives, trying to protect what we think is ours and keeping out what we think is strange. We believe that these fences give us security, but they also keep us from seeing the horizon and feeling the vastness of the world. The moment of departure is the moment the fences finally fall away, revealing that there was never anything to protect and nothing to fear. We realize that we are not the small plot of land inside the fence, but the entire landscape, stretching out in every direction toward the infinite light. This is the grand expansion of the spirit, or return to a state of being where there are no borders, no walls, and no endings. In the ancient temples, the masters would often tell the story of a drop of water that was terrified of falling into the ocean. The drop thought it would be lost, crushed by the weight of the sea and forgotten in the dark depths. But as soon as it touched the surface, it realized that it had not been destroyed, it had simply found its true magnitude. It was no longer a tiny drop vulnerable to the sun and the wind, it was now the tide, the current, and the deep, silent heart of the ocean. We are that drop, and the transition we face is not a disappearance, but an invitation to become the entire sea. We are not losing our identity, we are discovering that our identity was always much larger than we dared to imagine. There is a gentle grace in the way a master musician closes their eyes while playing a difficult piece, relying not on the sight of the notes, but on the feeling of the music in their soul. They are no longer thinking about the instrument or the audience, they have become the sound itself, flowing through the room like a river of light. We are all musicians in the symphony of life, and our bodies are the instruments we use to play our unique parts. When the instrument finally grows tired and the last note is played, the music does not die, it simply moves into a space where ears are no longer needed. We are the music, and the music is eternal, vibrating in the silence of the universe forever. Imagine a garden where the flowers are made of light and the wind smells like memories of pure joy. In this garden, there is no winter and no night, only a constant, radiant presence of peace. We have spent our human lives planting seeds in this inner garden through every kind word we spoke and every compassionate act we performed. When the time comes to leave the physical garden of the earth, we are not going into a barren wasteland, we are stepping into the lush, luminous world we have been creating all along. We are the gardeners of our own eternity, and the home we are moving toward is a place of our own making, a sanctuary of light that is as familiar as our own breath. Think of the way a candle flame is passed from one wick to another. The first candle may eventually burn down and go out, but the light it carried is still alive, shining brightly on a new path. The flame does not belong to the candle is just the vessel that holds the light for a while. We are the vessels of the eternal light, and while our individual candles will eventually reach their base, the light we carry is untouched by the passing of time. We have passed our light to our children, our friends, and every person we have touched with kindness. Our radiance continues to shine in the world, a steady and beautiful glow that will never be extinguished. The truth that so few dare to speak is that the end is actually a moment of profound clarity, a shedding of the last few veils of illusion. We realize that the worries that kept us awake at night were just shadows on the wall, and that the things we chased so desperately were just toys in a dream. We see that the only thing that was ever real was the love we gave and the peace we found within ourselves. In that final moment of waking up, we feel a sense of relief so deep and so vast that all the fears of the past seem like nothing more than the fading memory of a summer storm. We are awake, we are safe, and we are home. Every person we encounter is a fellow traveler who is also carrying a hidden lantern within their heart. Sometimes the glass of the lantern is dirty and the light is dim, and other times it shines with a brilliant, clear radiance. Our job is not to judge the lantern, but to help each other keep the flame alive. By sharing our own light, we make the path brighter for everyone, and we find that our own lantern shines even more clearly. This is the beautiful solidarity of our shared journey, the knowledge that we are all moving toward the same light and that we are all part of the same magnificent story. There was once a wise woman who lived in a house with no windows, but she could describe the beauty of the world better than anyone who could see. When asked how she knew about the colors of the sunset or the shape of the clouds, she said she listened to the rhythm of the universe in her own blood. She understood that the world outside was just a reflection of the world within, and that she didn't need eyes to see the truth. We are often blinded by what we see with our physical eyes, thinking that the world of form is all there is. But when we close our eyes and listen to the silence of our own hearts, we discover a reality that is far more beautiful and far more enduring than anything we can see on the surface. In the quiet hours of the night, when the world is still and the thoughts of the day have finally settled, we can feel a presence that is steady, warm, and infinitely kind. This is the presence of the infinite, the source of all life and all love. It is not something that is far away in the heavens, it is right here, in every breath and every heartbeat. It is the peace that remains when the fear is gone, the light that shines when the shadows have vanished. When we learn to rest in this presence, the transition of life no longer feels like a threat, but like a natural and beautiful movement within the arms of a loved one. Consider the way a master weaver finishes a piece of silk, cutting the threads from the loom with a sharp, quick motion. To the threads, it might feel like the end of their world, a sudden and violent separation from everything they have known. But the weaver knows that this is the moment the silk becomes a garment, something that can be worn and admired, something that has a purpose far beyond the loom. Our transition is that cutting of the threads, a moment of release that allows us to move from the restricted space of the loom into the vast and beautiful world of our true purpose. We are not being cut off, we are being set free. The silence that follows these words is a sacred space, a place where the truth can settle in your heart and find a home. Remember that you are a miracle, a unique and eternal expression of the divine light. There is nothing in the universe that can ever take away your worth or extinguish your radiance. The transition you fear is just the next step on a glorious journey, and you are ready for it, more ready than you can possibly imagine. Walk with peace, live with love, and trust in the wisdom of the great mystery that created you. You are safe, you are loved, and you are exactly where you need to be. Imagine the profound grace of a desert traveler who, after many days of walking through the shifting dunes, finally reaches the edge of a vast, cool oasis at twilight. He does not look back at his footprints in the sand with regret, nor does he mourn the dust on his cloak, for he understands that every grain of sand was a teacher and every mile of heat was a preparation for the sweetness of the water. We often view our time here as a struggle to keep our footprints visible, fearing that once the wind blows over them, our existence will have meant nothing. The truth that rests in the quiet corners of the soul is that we are not the footprints, we are the traveler, and the oasis is not a place we find at the end of the road, it is the destination that has been waiting within us all along, a reservoir of peace that can never run dry. In the ancient scrolls of a mountain temple, there is a story of a master musician who played a wooden flute that had no holes. People mocked him, saying he was silent and that no music could come from a stick of wood. But the master simply smiled and breathed into the flute, and those who were still enough to listen felt a melody vibrating in their own chests, a song that had no sound but filled their hearts with an overwhelming sense of light. He explained that the most beautiful music is the one that does not rely on the physical instrument, but on the breath of the spirit that connects the player to the universe. Our lives are that silent flute, and while the physical body may eventually stop producing sound, the breath that moved through us continues to vibrate in the fabric of existence, a melody of love that never loses its resonance. Consider the way a master painter prepares a canvas, layering colors and shadows to create depth and emotion, only to realize that the most important part of the painting is the light that hits the surface. Without the light, the colors are dull and the shadows are flat. Our experiences, our memories, and our physical forms are the layers of paint, but our true nature is the light that makes the whole composition come alive. When the canvas is eventually put away, the light does not disappear, it simply moves on to illuminate another scene, another world, and another way of being. We are the light, not the paint, and our radiance is untouched by the passing of the seasons or the aging of the frame. There was once a legend of a great bell that was cast from the jewelry of an entire kingdom, a mixture of gold, silver, and precious gems. When the bell was struck, the sound was so pure that it could be heard for hundreds of miles, and it was said that the sound carried the essence of everyone who had contributed to its making. Our lives are like the metals in that bell, a unique blend of all the people we have loved, the lessons we have learned, and the kindness we have shared. When the bell of our physical life is struck for the last time, the sound we produce is a culmination of everything we have ever been, a vibration that joins the eternal symphony of the cosmos. We do not cease to exist, we become a permanent part of the universal harmony, a note that is both unique and essential to the whole. Think of the way a deep, old forest breathes at night, a slow and rhythmic exchange of life that continues even when everything seems to be asleep. The trees do not worry about the darkness, for they know that the roots are still working and the sap is still flowing. They understand that the night is a time of restoration, a sacred pause that allows them to grow in ways the sun could never facilitate. We are often terrified of the night of our own lives, the moments when our strength fades and our vision grows dim. But this is the time when our spiritual roots grow deepest, reaching into the hidden aquifers of the truth. The end is not a closing of the eyes, but an opening of the soul's vision, a transition into a state of being where we no longer need the sun to see the light. In a hidden valley, there was a tradition of the bridge builders who would never finish the last stone of a bridge. They believed that a bridge that was perfectly finished was a bridge that had stopped dreaming of the other side. They left a small gap as a symbol of the invitation for the spirit to complete the journey. Our lives are that unfinished bridge, a beautiful structure of memories and relationships that stretches across the river of time. The gap at the end is not a flaw, it is the sacred space where we step out of the physical and into the infinite. We are not falling into the water, we are being carried by the very spirit of the journey across the final threshold into a land of pure light and eternal rest. The truth that few dare to speak is that we are the architects of our own transition, and that the foundation we build is made of the forgiveness we offer and the peace we cultivate. Every time we let go of a past hurt or look at a stranger with the eyes of compassion, we are placing a sturdy stone in the path of our soul. When the moment comes to leave the physical world behind, we do not find ourselves lost in a dark forest, we find ourselves walking on a path of light that we have been building every day of our lives. We are safe because we have made ourselves safe, we are loved because we have become love, and we are home because we never truly left the heart of the divine. Imagine a grand old clock that has ticked for 100 years, marking the joys and the sorrows of several generations. Eventually, the gears will wear down and the pendulum will swing for the last time. But the time itself does not stop, and the memory of the hours it marked remains in the hearts of those who lived by its rhythm. We are that clock, a temporary measure of the eternal, a way for the universe to experience the passing of moments and the beauty of change. When our physical heart stops its rhythmic beat, the eternal presence that gave us life continues, moving into a realm where clocks are no longer needed. We are the timelessness, not the seconds, and our existence is a steady, unchanging reality that lies beneath the ticking of our days. Every person we meet is a silent witness to our own divinity, a fellow traveler who is also searching for the way back to the source. When we treat each other with gentleness and respect, we are acknowledging the sacred light that lives in every heart. This recognition is the true purpose of our time here, a chance to see the face of the eternal in the eyes of a friend or a stranger. By loving each other, we are loving the universe itself, and we are creating a bond that is stronger than any physical force. This bond is what carries us through the final transition, a golden thread of connection that ensures we are never alone and that we are always part of the whole. There was once a wise man who was asked what he would do if he knew the world would end tomorrow. He smiled and said he would plant a fruit tree in his garden. He understood that the act of planting was an act of faith in the continuity of life, a statement that beauty and nourishment are valuable for their own sake, regardless of how much time is left. We should live our lives with that same sense of quiet, courageous purpose, giving our best to every moment and every task. When we live this way, the end of our time is not a tragedy, but a graceful completion of our part in the great work of creation. We have planted our seeds, we have shared our light, and we are ready for the next season of our eternal journey. Consider the way a master weaver prepares a silk thread, pulling it from the cocoon of a creature that has long since transformed and flown away. The cocoon was a temporary home, a necessary vessel for a miraculous change, but it was never the butterfly itself. We often treat our bodies and our current circumstances as if they were the final destination, when they are actually just the cocoons of our spiritual evolution. The moments of transition, the endings that we fear so much, are actually the points where the silk is being harvested to create something even more beautiful and lasting. We are the silk, we are the thread, and we are the magnificent tapestry that is being woven by the hands of the divine. When we let go of the cocoon, we are not losing our home, we are finally stepping into our true nature as beings of light and air. The silence that follows these words is a sacred space, a place where the truth can settle in your heart and find a home. Remember that you are a miracle, a unique and eternal expression of the divine light. There is nothing in the universe that can ever take away your worth or extinguish your radiance. The transition you fear is just the next step on a glorious journey, and you are ready for it, more ready than you can possibly imagine. Walk with peace, live with love, and trust in the wisdom of the great mystery that created you. You are safe, you are loved, and you are exactly where you need to be. The truth is that there is no death, only a change of clothes, a change of scenery, a continuation of the soul's melody in a different key. We are part of a grand, cosmic symphony, and every note is necessary, every pause is meaningful, and the music goes on forever, echoing through the halls of eternity. When we find that still point within ourselves, that place where the fear of the end cannot reach, we realize that we are already eternal and already free. The fear is just a costume we wear, a mask that we can choose to take off whenever we are ready to see the truth. As you move through your day, carry this quiet confidence in your heart, letting it shine on the small moments of joy and the large moments of challenge. Be the light that you wish to find, and the love that you wish to receive. In doing so, you are not just preparing for your own end, you are contributing to the healing of the whole world. You are part of a magnificent mystery, and your journey is being guided by a wisdom that is beyond all understanding. Trust in that wisdom, trust in that light, and trust in yourself. All is well, and all will be well, forever and ever. Every step of the way, every breath of the journey, you are exactly where you need to be, and you are becoming exactly who you were meant to be. The horizon is not an end, it is an invitation, and you are being called to discover the infinite beauty that lies beyond. There is no need to hurry, and there is no room for doubt. Breathe in the peace of the infinite, and breathe out the worries of the small self. You are a magnificent and eternal being, and your light will never be extinguished. Walk in peace, live in love, and know that you are home. Think for a moment about the quiet dignity of a candle that has burned through the night, having offered every bit of its wax to keep the shadows at bay. As the flame grows smaller and eventually merges with the first golden rays of the morning sun, it does not feel defeated, it feels fulfilled, for its light was never lost, it was simply welcomed back into the source of all brilliance. Our lives are like that dedicated flame, a brief and beautiful focus of energy that illuminates a small corner of the world for a precious time. The truth that rests at the very center of our being, the one that few people find the words to express, is that we are not the wax that disappears, nor are we the wick that turns to ash, we are the light itself, a vibration of the universe that is as constant as the stars and as ancient as the silence of space. In the old scrolls of a lost civilization, there is a story of a great ocean that dreamed it was a tiny, isolated puddle in the middle of a rocky field. The puddle was terrified of the heat of the noon sun, thinking it would be dried up and gone forever. But when the sun finally drew the water upward, the puddle realized it was not being destroyed, it was being liberated from the cracks in the stone, rising high into the clouds to see the vast expanse of the sea from which it had originally come. We spend so much of our time feeling small and separate, fearing the evaporation of our physical selves, when in reality, we are just the ocean dreaming of being a puddle. Our transition is the moment of waking up, or returning to the deep, salty, and infinite embrace of a consciousness that knows no shores. There is a profound beauty in the way a master weaver leaves the very last edge of a tapestry unknotted, a secret tradition that honors the idea that the soul's work is never truly done, but simply moves to a larger loom. We often look at the end of a life as a finished object, a closed book, or a silent song. But if we listen with our hearts, we can hear that the melody has not stopped, it has simply shifted its frequency beyond the range of our human ears. Every act of kindness we performed, every tear of empathy we shed, and every moment we spent in silent wonder is a thread that continues to stretch out into the infinite, building a bridge for those who will follow in our footsteps. We are the builders of a cathedral made of light, and our departure is just the moment we step outside to see the structure we have been working on from the perspective of the heavens. Consider the way a seed must feel as it sits in the dark, cold earth, completely unaware that it carries the blueprint of a magnificent forest within its tiny shell. To the seed, The cracking of its outer skin must feel like the end of the world, a terrifying loss of everything it has ever known. But that breaking is the only way the sprout can reach for the sun and the roots can find the water. Our human life is that period in the dark soil, a time of gathering strength and learning to endure. What we call the end is actually the moment of breaking through the surface, a breathtaking emergence into a world of air and light that we could never have imagined while we were tucked safely inside the shell. We are not being buried, we are being planted, and the bloom that follows is the true purpose of our existence. In the quiet of a deep winter evening, if you watch the snowflakes drifting silently toward the ground, you see that no two are exactly alike, yet they all come from the same sky and they all return to the same earth. Each flake is a unique masterpiece of geometry and grace, existing for just a heartbeat before melting into the whole. Our individual lives are those snowflakes, brief and brilliant displays of the infinite's creativity. We do not lose our uniqueness when we return to the source, we simply bring our unique vibration back to the heart of the universe, enriching the collective soul with the specific beauty of our own journey. We are a part of a divine snowfall, a gentle and beautiful reminder that the universe loves variety and that every single soul is a cherished part of the design. There was once a wise man who spent his life studying the stars, but he never used a telescope, for he said that the best way to see the light was to become very still and let the light find him. He taught that the eyes often distract us with the shapes of things, while the soul sees the essence. When his own eyes grew dim with age, he said his vision had never been clearer, for he could now see the radiance that connects all living beings, a golden web of energy that ignores the boundaries of time and space. He understood that our physical existence is just a temporary focusing of that energy, like a magnifying glass catching a beam of sunlight. When the glass is moved, the beam remains, unchanged and eternal. We are the beam, and our radiance is a permanent gift to the universe. The truth that so many find hard to accept is that we are already perfect, just as we are, in every stage of our journey. We do not need to wait for a future heaven to be whole, for the light of the infinite is already shining through every cell of our bodies and every thought in our minds. The fear of the end is just a cloud passing in front of that sun, a temporary shadow that cannot touch the brilliance of our true nature. When we live with this awareness, every breath becomes a prayer of gratitude and every day becomes a celebration of the eternal. We are safe, we are loved, and we are home, even now, in this very moment, in this very breath. Think of the way a master musician plays the final note of a long and complex piece of music, letting the sound fade so slowly that the audience cannot tell when the music ends and the silence begins. That silence is not empty, it is pregnant with the resonance of everything that was just played, a vibrating space of peace and reflection. Our transition is that lingering resonance, a gentle fading into a silence that is the mother of all sound. We are not going into a void, we are merging with the potential from which all music is born. Our song was beautiful, it was unique, and its influence will continue to ripple through the hearts of everyone we touched, a melody that never truly ends because it was played with the strings of love. Imagine you are a traveler who has walked through many different lands, wearing many different pairs of shoes and speaking many different languages. At the end of the journey, you do not mourn the loss of the shoes or the fading of the languages, you simply set down your pack and feel the joy of being back in the place where your heart truly belongs. We have been many things in this life, a child, a parent, a worker, a friend, but beneath all those roles, there is a steady, unchanging presence that has been with us since the beginning. That presence is our true self, the traveler who is never lost and never tired. The end is just the moment the traveler finally sets down the heavy pack and realizes that the home they were looking for was the very ground they were standing on all along. Let us sit together in this realization, letting the peace of the universe wash over us like a warm summer rain. We have nothing to fear, for we are made of the very substance of light and love. The transitions of our lives are just the way the universe breathes, a natural and necessary movement that keeps the great dance of existence alive. We are a part of that dance, a beautiful and essential movement in the cosmic choreography. When we move beyond the physical realm, we are not leaving the dance, we are simply moving into a different rhythm, a more subtle and profound vibration that is closer to the heart of the truth. Every person we meet is a fellow dancer, a mirror reflecting a different facet of our own soul. When we treat each other with kindness and compassion, we are acknowledging the sacred light that lives in every heart. This is the true meaning of spiritual maturity, the ability to see the divine in the eyes of a stranger and the eternal in the passing of a day. By loving each other, we are building a foundation of peace that will support us through every change and every challenge. We are creating a legacy of light that will illuminate the world long after we have moved on. As we reach the final horizon of our thoughts today, let us carry this quiet confidence in our hearts, letting it be a steady lamp in the dark and a warm fire in the cold. Remember that you are a miracle, a precious and eternal expression of the divine, and that your journey is being guided by a wisdom that is beyond all understanding. Trust in that wisdom, trust in that light, and trust in yourself. You are safe, you are loved, and you are home. The silence that follows is not an end, it is an invitation to listen to the whisper of your own soul, the voice that has always known the truth. Walk in peace, live in love, and know that all is well, now and forever.